Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your holiday break. Or if you're back to work like us, we get you. We see you. We're here doing the same thing, but we're happy to do it. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen. Alex Kirry on vacation. He's one of those taking a break, if you're also taking a break. But you know who never sleeps? The real star of DJ and PK in the morning. Jake Hatch is with us.
What's up?
Jake, first of all, thank you for being here at this hour. I'm sure you'd rather be in bed.
Oh, no.
Or whatever you, I don't know. I don't, so
Yeah,
I feel your pain
sure.
because when I first got in the TV business, I was an editor, news editor for the morning show while I was going to college.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, yes. You
So
absolutely
I
know
understand
the pain.
overnights.
You actually know the worse pain than I know.
I had to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're the 2 a.m. wake-up
and
call.
prayed that my alarm went off. And at the time, I was living in Orem.
Oh, jeez.
And so I would commute to Salt Lake City
Uh-huh.
to get here by 3 to edit video and run playback for our morning broadcasts on KSL. This is way back in the day. This is like 2003.
Sure.
So I know what life is like when you wake up in the morning and it's dark.
Yeah.
Which you do every day. So a lot of respect for that grind and what you do.
Well, thank you.
And I get it. I understand it. So I'm sure you would rather be doing something else right now. But you're here with us today.
Hey, it's
talking
always
sports.
It's always a pleasure to join you guys. People ask me all the time, like, when do you sleep? I'm like, very carefully is usually my response.
Very carefully.
Because I've got 3 kids under the 9 and younger, and I know you know that pain as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's part of the deal. And as PK and I like to joke all the time, he says on the other time, this isn't really like that strenuous, if that
You're
makes
not
sense.
waking up to go work on a construction site like a lot of our loyal viewers, listeners.
I legitimately have a brother who builds houses for a living.
Right.
And he loves to rub it in my face that he's out there on the front lines building houses while I'm talking sports.
But you get up earlier than him, so rub that into his face.
I do.
He thinks he's tough. Oh, yeah? Tell him when you get up in the morning.
Exactly.
The other problem with that, Jake, and you know this pain as well, is sports are happening at night.
Oh, yes.
A lot of news breaks during the daytime in the business hour, the normal business hours.
Yeah.
So when you're working overnight like that and into the morning, and then the temptation is to just stay up and enjoy everything that's going on because in this business we have that anxiety of wanting to know what's going on all the time.
Correct. Yeah. We have a crippling addiction to being up to speed on everything that's happening.
Yeah, I've struggled with that for 2 decades now, and I know you struggle with it as well. So it was a legit question when I ask, and I think our listeners would be interested, is when do you sleep?
Well, yeah, like I said, very carefully. But yeah, it's my goal is to be in bed by 10 o'clock. Obviously, my alarm goes off at 4 a.m. It's not the 2 a.m. because I know I've talked to enough TV people.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you, that you were a news editor for a while.
Well, we start at 4:30 a.m. in TV.
Sure, yeah, but I'm telling you,
It's
I remember
a tough deadline.
The 2 a.m. I'm like, dude, because like mine goes off at 4 a.m. and it's still super early. Trust me, I've done it for 12 years in now, I think, with DJ and PK. So it's I run about 6 hours of sleep and make do. So
it's like everybody else. We figure it out.
Exactly, we figure it out, and
it's just you don't want to miss the sports going on at night. Like last night, you want to watch the Mammoth game,
correct.
right?
Yeah.
Of course, you probably should have turned it off after the second period.
Would have felt a lot better about things.
Gosh dang! Come on, Mammoth.
Yeah, Steven Stamkos, man, still really good in front of goal.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the show yesterday. It was like Nashville's not great, but they got stars on their roster, and sure enough, one of the biggest got the Mammoth last night in the third period as they fall. They're off to New York to take on the Islanders, Devils, and Rangers in the new year to start things off.
We had a running joke. So we had Mike Folta on this morning with DJ and PK,
Yeah.
and they play the Islanders. It's Islanders, Devils, Rangers, right in that order.
Yeah,
it's one of those rare like road trips where you're playing 3 games. You don't have to switch a hotel once.
that's nice.
Like that's the perk of all that.
And they're going to be in New York for New Year's.
And that's what Mike was talking about. He was like,
Times Square.
I'm going to go over to Times Square and see the ball drop. I'm like, have fun dealing with those crowds.
Hang out with Ryan Seacrest.
Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve? Come on now.
Is Dick Clark still with us?
No, but they still call it Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, hosted by, obviously, the venerable Ryan Seacrest.
Can't they come up with an AI Dick Clark instead of Ryan Seacrest?
Probably could.
It's 2026 now. We should be able to do that.
Yeah, they should.
All right. So this is our last show, I should also note, of 2025. And all of you listening, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you listening each and every day or whenever you can here at JJ and Alex. And, of course, the DJ and PK across the board, all the shows here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Tomorrow is the Las Vegas Bowl, and you can hear that game right here on the KSL Sports Zone. I believe the game kicks off at 1:30. I don't know about programming, if they're going to start earlier.
I
if
have
it
that
starts
answer
then.
for you. So 6 to 10 a.m. DJ and PK.
There you go.
10 to noon, Jake and Ben. And then it'll be an abbreviated version of Hans and Scotty from 12 to 1:30. And then, full play-by-play coverage as well as the post-game show with our good friend Alex Napolis as soon as it goes final.
There you
here
go.
on the KSL Sports Zone. And Christian Esparza, who's sitting right next door. I didn't
there
see
you
Christian
go.
in there, so anyways.
There's your layout of programming on New Year's Eve, a big day for us here on the KSL Sports Zone with Utah playing Nebraska in the Las Vegas Bowl. And that's how we're going to start today's show. That is the cut here at 3 o'clock.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
The cut is brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Give them a call today, your local financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Now, there's a bowl game tomorrow for the Utes, but we have some news that broke earlier today. Kind of surprised by this, Jake. I'd love to get your take. John Henry Daly announces that he's going to enter the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Now, I expected there would be some Utes that would jump in, and we know where they're probably going.
We got an idea. Yeah.
Now, you're not supposed to talk to anybody about that stuff until they're actually in the transfer portal, which opens Friday.
As I say, it doesn't actually open until Friday, correct.
But we've had announcements made, and I'm sure that everything was done on the up and up there. But John Henry Daly is in the transfer portal. He will not be back with Utah. Obviously, ended the season with an injury, but was an All-American defensive end, had a breakout season for the Utes. Your thoughts, your reaction when you heard that John Henry Daly is headed elsewhere?
Well, so the number one thing was it's been pretty well known. Now, I don't think it was ever formally reported, but it's an Achilles injury that he's been dealing with.
I believe so, yes.
And he says he's going to be healthy by spring 2026. That's a pretty aggressive timeline to be cleared by next spring. Because that's like 6 months-ish.
Yeah, it's almost a 5-month.
Yeah, and
You
that
start April 1st?
And that has happened in the NFL a handful of times. If I recall correctly, Aaron Rodgers is kind of on that same timeline. Remember when he tore that Achilles? Very aggressive rehab, and obviously that would be pretty astounding if he's back that quickly. Now, am I surprised he's entering the transfer portal? Not particularly, because to your point, in this day and age, there's a lot of back-channel communication going on out there, and we don't know this for certain, but Kyle Whittingham said it himself. He said, if there are guys from Utah, I can't tell them to leave, but if they happen to, pop up in the portal, we may have a conversation. And a guy of John Henry Daly's caliber, double-digit sacks, you mentioned the fact he's an All-American, he is going to have no shortage of options, including Michigan. But that's not the only suitor that'll be coming after him. He's going to have a lot of money thrown his way because you don't get star pass rushers, even coming off a pretty significant injury of that variety, hitting the portal every day. So he's probably, as much as he's maybe probably eyeing Michigan from my perspective, at the same time, he's probably just kind of like, hey, what's the market bear? Like, what can I make out there?
Right, and I guess it's possible he returns to Utah if that's what he's doing.
Sure.
Is dipping his toes in the water to see what's out there. I would get that, and he's proven himself now as one of the top pass rushers in the country, that he has every right to do that, and he's going to get a lot of suitors. So whether that means he's gone from Utah, we don't know. We've seen guys come back, whether it's Utah, BYU, etc. But there's some interesting names out there in the transfer portal right now, and he's one of them for sure. You looked at Texas Tech and what they were able to do in the transfer portal in the trenches last year, Jake. Completely changed that program.
Yeah.
And I'm of the opinion, and you think a lot of these schools are going after the star power and chasing a receiver or a tight end, skill position guy. I think that the true benefit of the transfer portal is the ability to build your team in the trenches first, and that's where teams should be spending their money, in my opinion, because skill players are a dime a dozen. Quarterbacks, that's debatable, but there's so many skill position players out there. You build powerhouse programs in the trenches, and Michigan's one of those places that has always been strong in the trenches. And if you're John Henry Daly and you know that your head coach is heading there, and I'm sure there's a strong relationship there, you look at that pretty strongly as I can go to Michigan, make a lot of money, and be one of the top defensive ends in the country at Michigan. Then what?
Yeah.
You're Aiden Hutchinson.
I was gonna say, that's,
you know what I mean?
That's the archetype is what you're looking at.
And what you're looking at, first-round draft pick and all this. If that's your aspiration and that's what you're looking for, you can understand why someone like John Henry Daly looks at the situation and says, I need to look at that. I need to put myself in a position where I can pursue that. Thus, the decision that was made. Yeah,
and I think he, speaking of John Henry Daly, as you mentioned, has kind of just become this star. And remember, he said, if I recall, it may have been broken since, but he was the single season sack. It set the single season sack record for high school football his senior year at Lone Peak High School. I called that year. I probably called 4 or 5 of those games, and I've seen a number of downright dominant defensive players. I can think of Hunter Clegg at American Fork High School that are just single handedly able to dominate a game. Not very many, like I saw with John Henry Daly, because he would get double and triple teamed and routinely beat those double and triple teams and made plays in the backfield. And obviously, he went on a mission, spent some time at BYU. His first year at Utah, it was kind of feeling out process for him. But this past year, finally, he was like, oh, yeah, okay, there's the JHD I remember watching all those years ago.
Yeah, I did the same thing, having called some of his games in high school. Just an absolute force. And it felt like it was just a matter of when, not if, right?
So to that point, I think he's now looking at it as, okay, I've got an opportunity to go to, and this is not to say that Utah's not at a high level, but Michigan, what are they, top 5 in terms of the pantheon of greatest programs in college football?
They're the winningest program ever, right? And you look at the history, and it's undeniable. And like I mentioned, Aiden Hutchinson.
Sure, yeah.
If you get double-digit sacks at Michigan, you're making millions of dollars in the NFL.
I think that's what he's looking at, is this opportunity, whether it is at Michigan or another one of these top-tier programs, go and show yourself literally at the highest levels of college football, and then ultimately move on to the pros and cash in from that point. I think your other point is well taken, that Texas Tech, they understood, you know what? If we have the best defensive front in all of college football, you know what makes defense really easy? Oh, when teams can't run or pass on you.
Yeah.
And I think BYU got, and Utah to that point, got a full look at, okay, a $7 million, I think it was reported $7 million for that defensive line. And, man, good luck, Oregon, because I'm telling you, that defensive front is worth every time that Texas Tech played. And Tech's doubled down on it, saying that, yeah, they're going to lose a lot of these guys, David Bailey, Romello Height, Skylar Gill-Howard. They're all moving on after the season. What's Texas Tech going to do? Oh, yeah, they're turning right around and just investing in the next crop of elite defensive line talent. And to that point, BYU and Utah, I think that both of them realize, okay, that's exactly how we got to go about building our programs as well.
You saw Utah with a 10-2 record this year, and we'll get to the Vegas Bowl here in a moment. That 10-2 record was built in the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had John Henry Daly on the defensive side, and you had an Outland Trophy winner in Spencer Fano on the other side.
And, by the way, another first-round draft pick in Caleb Lomu.
Just throw Lomu in there as well. And that interior was great, too, of veteran guys, Jerry Kump. And, they were you get into all the analytics. I think PFF had them rated as the number one. For some reason, Iowa won the National Offensive Line of the Year award.
Yeah, that Joe Moore Award. The fact that Utah wasn't even a semifinalist for that, or a finalist as that group, that screams that award wasn't paying attention. But to your point, Utah ran the ball with impunity all year long.
Number 1 in the country.
And they just couldn't be stopped. And then on defense, John Henry Daly and the other guys coming off to that edge made life miserable for opposing quarterbacks.
And the second John Henry Daly went down with an injury, what happened to that defense?
Ask Kansas and Kansas State.
House of cards.
Exactly.
So that's how valuable John Henry Daly was for that defense, and he's going to have a lot of value in the transfer portal.
Yep.
Okay, so John Henry Daly is not playing in the bowl game because he's injured. They're not going to have Kyle Whittingham there because he's now the head coach of Michigan. Utah's going to look a lot different tomorrow when they play in this Las Vegas Bowl. And a reminder of that was today when Morgan Scalley stepped up to the podium as the new head coach of the University of Utah. And he had a chance to speak to the media and address the media. And we got a little bit of that for you right now. His thoughts before facing Nebraska in the Vegas Bowl.
What an amazing opponent. I've known Matt Rule and respected him from his time at Baylor, moving on to the NFL, and just a very well-respected leader in this profession. You can tell the way their team plays ball. It's going to be a physical matchup. I was made aware that we were 0-4 by the Nebraska media. They let me know that. So it's like, all right, that's the challenge. That's the gauntlet's been set down. So we're excited for this moment. I'm excited for our players. Devin, the leader that he's been coming in just one season, and he is the catalyst, right, for what we've been able to do. Him and our offensive coordinator, Jason Beck, defensively, and proud of Lander and the seniors. We've got about 13, 14 seniors still going to be playing in this game, and we want to send them out the right way.
That's Morgan Scalley from the Vegas Bowl today. Devin Dampier is going to play in this game, which is exciting. Obviously, Bert Ficklin as well.
Yep.
You saw the two of them modeling the Utah uniforms that they're going to wear in the Las Vegas Bowl if you've been on social media today. So if you're a Utah fan, that's exciting. Those two quarterbacks are going to be playing in this game. Sounds like a lot of seniors are going to be playing in this game as well. I like that. I mean, Lander Barton being one of them.
Yeah.
Not every senior's playing. Logan Fano's headed to the NFL along with his brother Spencer, and Caleb Lomu's not playing in this game. They're not technically seniors, but they're not playing in this game. I look at Utah, and I feel like that Utah's going to have some juice, Jake. What do you think? I think that Morgan Scalley coaching this game, everything that's happened over the last month, and with the players that are going to be playing in this game, we'll see if it's the last game for Jason Beck as OC.
Yeah.
Kind of expect that. We'll stay tuned on that later in the week. We think we're going to hear some things later on in the week after these games are over on Wednesday. I think both Michigan and Utah are having respect for the coaching staffs at both schools.
Correct.
They're not going to announce anything or any shakeups as far as coordinators go or assistant coaches until these bowl games are over on Wednesday. But I think Utah's going to bring some juice to this game. I don't know where Nebraska's going to find theirs.
Well, and so we had Sean Callahan from Husker Online and on3.com this morning, and he kind of made that same point. He said, this is a really kind of gutted Nebraska roster because you don't have your quarterback. You don't have some of these guys who have opted out of this game. And I think the point that you make is well taken. This is Morgan Scalley's first game as the head coach of the Utah football program. And every player that's not a senior on Utah's roster has to kind of look at this as a tryout in a way. Because guess what? It's a new regime. And if you want to essentially lock down your spot for next year, well, you want to go out and put a performance on tape in this game that has Morgan saying, okay, yeah, that's one of my guys. And that's much easier said than done. But I think that you mentioned that juice, it comes from that. This was supposed to be the swan song for Kyle Whittingham, and then circumstances played out the way that they did, and he needed to get started, obviously building, I guess not building, but keeping Michigan's roster intact and just doing his thing out there in Ann Arbor. So he's in Orlando versus being in Vegas. So it hands the reins over to Morgan Scalley, and I really look forward to seeing how Utah responds in this game, but I think you nailed it. They have a whole lot more going for them in this game than it feels like Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers have.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I like the fact that the quarterbacks are playing in this game, and I feel like they have something to prove. There's a lot of guys on this Utah team that have something to prove. You mentioned you could view it as an audition. You can view it as I don't know. Like when teams go through stuff like this, and there's much worse things to go through than a coaching transition, especially like this. But like, there's just it leads guys to rally.
Yeah,
it gives kids a reason to bring out their best. I look at Nebraska and I just don't see how they're going to be able to compete with this Utah team if they bring their juice. It was the last bowl game was that Utah was in 2023 against Northwestern.
Yeah,
I believe it was also the Vegas Bowl, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right.
So everybody, that feeling going into that game was like, they don't want to be here.
Well, yeah.
and it played out that way.
And the performance kind of indicated
nobody played in it. I mean, Bryson Barnes had already transferred to Utah State, and he was the starting quarterback. And we're all looking at each other like, what are they doing this for? I don't get that feeling about tomorrow. This feels like a group that wants to be there, that has something to play for, something to play about. I get a good vibe from Utah going into this game is what I'm saying. They're 14-point favorites.
Yeah.
And for a reason.
I was going to say. Like,
no Dylan Raiola. They don't have their starting running back. I don't know what Nebraska is right now, but even on paper, Utah was a 10-2 team this year. Nebraska 7-5, and they were one play away from being 6-6. If Cincinnati could have finished that game off in the opener, I just don't think Nebraska can compete with Utah in this game. As far as I'm not saying that this is going to be a blowout, but Vegas knows obviously that there's an edge in this game, and it points towards Utah. So, and I think it would have some value for Utah to win this game. Moving in, I think there's too much made, Jake, about the momentum you carry from a bowl game. Like, come on, that's BS. Although, you could argue BYU got some momentum from that dominant performance against Colorado. They just the 11-win thing, it kind of kept the ball rolling.
Sure.
And then some, Jake Retzloff, the situation kind of took a little bit of steam out of that, but then Bear kind of rescued that as that season went along. But for the most part, you look at teams that have some, a bad bowl performance or don't end things very well. Seasons don't meld like that. I just don't buy that you have this big surge of momentum because of a bowl win. I think that's overplayed. So that's not necessarily what Utah's looking for here. But I just see a group of guys that want to go out there and play hard and play for their new head coach.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys are there because of Morgan Scalley.
Well, and the other thing is, the one thing I like about what Utah's built is it's a culture that is kind of pervasive in that program, that it's not just that we're here to collect a paycheck. No, we play for more than that. And that's been instilled, obviously, by what Kyle Whittingham's done over the 21 seasons he was the head coach. And Morgan Scalley, all he's really doing is taking the baton that's being handed over to him and carrying it forward here. I don't expect that to change whatsoever. And that's what I expect with this performance tomorrow, is I expect Utah to go out there, lay the wood to Nebraska, and then just kind of carry on doing what they have done. Now, you mentioned the fact that after this game goes final, obviously changes, it feels like, are going to come.
No doubt.
And that's plural. But the nice part is you can go into the offseason with momentum, understanding that you have the brain trust in place. Whereas for Nebraska, they're just playing out the string. And it feels like the only way Nebraska wins that game tomorrow, in my opinion, is if Utah is very careless with the football.
Right.
You're couple interceptions, a fumble here and there. You set them up to cash in on stuff like that. That's really the only way I see Nebraska pulling out a win in this one. And that would give them, I guess, the juice that they've probably been searching for this whole prep period leading up to it. But it does feel like Utah, they have everything rolling right now. And this is just kind of the final game, and then parlay that into an offseason where, there will be change, but understand that the culture, the goals, everything that Utah stands for, it's not changing.
An 11-2 season after that 5-7 debacle last year, and all that they went through would be quite an accomplishment for this Utah football program. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the momentum from the bowl game is necessarily going to carry into next year, but Morgan Scalley taking over this program, whatever changes are made on the staff of the coaching, and a lot of these players coming back and players they could potentially add is the reason why you should be high on Utah football moving forward into 2026.
No doubt.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, an early NFL Blitz. Quite a game last night in the NFL on Monday Night Football. We'll break down Rams and Falcons last night. And if you had Bijan Robinson in your fantasy football championship last night,
congrats to you.
We are the champions, my friends.
So can we reveal this, by the way, on the other side, who won our zone producer/tech team championship in our fantasy football league? It's our first ever. Should we do that next?
Okay, we're going to do that next. I'm sure that all the listeners right now can't wait to find out who won your fantasy football championship. They're on pins and needles. We'll be right back after this.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen, Jake Hatch in for Alex Kirry. Looking on my calendar here, it is a Tuesday. You know what that means.
Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday?
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Get ready to call right now. Caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE wins a pair of tickets to see the Utah Jazz take on Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks on Thursday, January 8th at the Delta Center at 7 p.m. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. The NFL is king. The NFL never disappoints. And last night, we got another crazy game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're a 49ers fan?
Yes.
So you really enjoyed Sunday Night Football on KSL and NBC.
It was kind of like coming down to the wire. It was like, oh, come on, guys.
It was incredible.
I know. It was a fun game, though.
Drama. It came down to the final play. One of the best games of the year. The Bears have now been involved in two of the best games of the year.
Yeah.
That game against the Packers was wild as well the week before. And then the Rams and Falcons gave us quite a game last night. Now, for a while, it looked like it was a stinker.
It was 21-0
at the half.
Yeah, and that included, you mentioned before the break, a 93-yard dash to glory for Bijan Robinson.
No defense.
Yeah.
He had 31 fantasy points by halftime, by the way. He was having a heck of a game. He went over 200 scrimmage yards in that game by the time he was done.
Mm-hmm.
So Bijan Robinson was electric. The Rams did not start well, but, man, they came raging back.
Yeah.
That blocked field goal and return by Jared Verse was unbelievable.
Yep.
He was so good. He's such a great athlete. He blocks a kick. He picks it up off the bounce, and he's so fast as a defensive end. He has time to look at the Falcons sideline and give the peace sign while he's racing to the end zone. That is confidence. That is athleticism right there.
He pulled the Tyreek Hill.
100%.
Tyreek used to turn around and give guys the peace sign when he was pulling away from him. But this is a defensive lineman in Jared Verse.
Right.
But it kind of shows kind of this new breed of defensive linemen in the NFL that they are just freaks. And we used to call Javon Curse the freak.
Yeah.
Well, kind of all these guys are that variety now.
Javon Curse kind of changed things where they were looking for the tall, lean, athletic defensive ends. Now all of them are. Now we have defensive interior linemen that have run 4.8 40s or something like that. It's just insane the athleticism that you now see all along the defensive front.
Correct.
And every NFL team.
So Jared Verse shined. And, okay, we also got to talk about the catch, non-catch for Puka Nacua.
Puka had tough breaks last night. First, the 40-yard touchdown that was taken away from him. Let's hear from Rams fan behind the glass here. Napolis, was it a hold or not?
I think it was.
You think it was?
I think it was.
Wow, being honest.
Okay.
You took your fan hat off there for a moment.
PI later on in the game.
That got missed. That was a big call.
I'm just saying that final play, because it could have made this, even more intriguing than it already was.
Well, the Rams would have had a field goal attempt to tie it.
I thought he caught it. Now,
do you still think he caught it?
Then I saw they have a reverse angle camera shot, and I hadn't seen that until earlier today.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, got it now.
So if you watch the game live, had he been able to complete that catch, I would have been willing to say that's the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life. He had no business catching that pass. It was thrown way out of bounds. He somehow stretches out. He got his fingertips on it.
Yeah.
And was able, that's a Matthew Stafford pass to the sideline. It's a rocket.
Yeah. And
he caught it with his fingertips, and he literally stuck it on his fingertips, gets his feet down, both feet stretched out, laying out his 6'4" body stretched out. I don't know, is Puka that tall?
I think so,
he plays big.
But
he plays big.
His catch radius is nuts.
It is. It's insane. And initially, I'm like, oh my gosh, he caught that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they showed the overhead angle. Now you have to see the overhead angle to see, oh no, like halfway between him falling from the time he made the catch to falling down on the ground after his feet have left the field of play, the ball comes loose from his fingertips, and he still was able to haul it in, but at that point, he had been out of bounds, so it was incomplete. They reviewed it, so it shouldn't have counted as it didn't in the game. But Puka continues to show, even when he doesn't catch a pass, how incredible he is.
One of the greatest non-catches of all time.
It was spectacular. It's like watching a reel of the best dunks that never counted.
Well, and that's the thing about Puka, because he set the NFL record last night for the fastest player to 300 career receptions in 43 games. And we were talking about this morning with DJ PK. Like, PK's like, how does this guy fall to the 5th round? It's like, really, the only thing that knocked him down was his health at BYU because he missed games. And
he didn't test well at the combine, that kind of stuff.
That was never really going to be Puka's thing, is to be a combine superstar. That's not his game.
No.
He's just a freak. He gets on the field. He plays faster, bigger, stronger than anything he could ever test in terms of the underwear Olympics of the combine.
Shows you how much value should not be taken into that sometimes.
Sure, but he's a ball player, and he is proven to be everything the Rams could hope for and more. And every time he steps on the field, I'm not sure what we're going to watch, but I know it's going to be fun.
He continues to amaze, even though the Rams come up short last night, and that prevents the Rams from having any chance of winning the NFC West, which should make you and 49ers fans happy. It's going to come down to the 49ers and the Seahawks Saturday night for the NFC. And, of course, the winner of that game gets the number 1 overall seed in the NFC playoffs. We'll get to that in Would You Rather. I have a little thing I want to discuss for that. But Rams, a couple of tough breaks over the last couple of weeks. I still believe in the Rams. I still think they're very, very good. But this significantly impacts them as far as their seeding in the playoffs. Instead of playing a game at Carolina or Tampa, they're probably looking at a rematch with the Eagles again in the playoffs, which in Philadelphia, just like it was last year, which could be tough for them.
Well, and that's the thing about Philadelphia. They won on Sunday despite not having a single completed pass in the second half.
Insane.
Which kind of shows you what Philadelphia is relying upon right now, and that's an incredible defense. And yes, Josh Allen misfired. Like, he had his guy, and I would imagine that you give Josh Allen that same 2-point conversion opportunity 10 more times, he completes it 9 of the next 10 opportunities, it feels like.
Josh Allen has won an MVP. Josh Allen is elite. That's one of the worst quarterback plays of the year. It was that wide open.
Yeah.
And he knows it.
Yeah.
And he's owning that and wearing that all week long. I'm going to be curious to see how Josh Allen bounces back from that pass, because as an intense competitor, when you blow such a simple, easy play for a win, I can't imagine how that eats at you. So it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back from that.
To your point, the Rams having to go to Philadelphia, man, I don't know what to make of the Eagles, but you do not want to play in Philadelphia.
No.
Because to your point, you could have been playing at Carolina or at Tampa Bay where you're like, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
But
no one's intimidated about playing in Tampa in January. Let's be honest right now.
But if you go to Philadelphia,
and it's 12 degrees, and someone's throwing batteries at your head, it's a little bit different environment.
You have to face the tush push all the time.
Oh,
you
that
know?
too. Gosh, the Eagles are like a trip to the dentist. I don't want to watch an Eagles game. I'm sorry, I have no interest.
Well, I'm with you on that. That's the problem with the Eagles right now, is they just
so boring.
Amen. That's exactly, you nailed it. Boring right now.
But boring works, especially in the NFL.
Yep.
And they have something going. A lot of things are going to shake out. Week 18 is going to be interesting to see what the final spots are, who's going to get which seeds, and who's going to win the AFC North and the NFC South. Now, the AFC North is an interesting game because there's news now that Steelers star defensive end TJ Watt might return for that game. They've really missed him.
Yeah.
So you're looking for anything in that game that could give an edge, and for the Steelers, that could be it. What are your thoughts on that game? The Ravens and the Steelers, both have underperformed this year dramatically.
Sure. The question is, okay, if TJ Watt returns, that's obviously a major boost to the Steelers' opportunity for this, because they currently are sitting in that 4 spot, and they win, they're in. It's the same thing for Baltimore.
Yep.
But there are questions about Baltimore with regards to Lamar Jackson all season long. It's been like a week-by-week thing.
I'll be honest, Jake, I think they're better off with Tyler Huntley right now.
But they're going to play Lamar if he's capable of going.
Right.
And if you get TJ Watt, and he's had that collapsed lung, it was a dry needling procedure that collapsed it, if I recall correctly, which is just horrifying.
What?
Yeah, it's just like, ugh, okay.
Just the thought of saying the term dry needling gave me the ick.
Yeah, so him being back and being able to bring pressure into the backfield there with a, let's say, 90, 80% type of Lamar Jackson, I think the Steelers have the edge, but I also think the Steelers have the edge just personally, because it feels like this is a year that Baltimore should have been a whole lot better than they have been.
No question.
And it's just kind of been a fits and starts. And now, could they put on a performance that gets them into the playoffs here? But would you trust them to go any deeper than one round? I wouldn't.
No. I don't think the Steelers or the Ravens win a playoff game. I just feel like the Ravens come in with more momentum.
They do.
Won at Lambeau. Derrick Henry is back on track.
Huntley's wearing a cheese grater hat.
They're having fun. There's a good vibe with the Ravens right now. The Steelers looked anemic against the Browns. I know the Browns' defense is tough. The weather wasn't great. But that was a big, big game for the Steelers. They could have clinched, and they fell flat on their face against a bad football team. So I like the Ravens in this game coming up, and which would be interesting because what's going to happen in Pittsburgh? What's the fallout going to be with the Steelers if they miss the playoffs? That's the one thing that Tomlin hangs his hat on. At least we make the playoffs.
Yeah, and obviously Tomlin has never had a losing season in his run as the head coach, and it's not going to happen this year because they are 9-7. So regardless of the outcome, but it does feel like in some ways. And by the way, you want to talk about a franchise that does not change coaches at all?
It's insane. They've had like 3 coaches since 1960.
Yeah, because
it's insane.
And is Tomlin 14 years deep now? I think.
Oh yeah.
Like him and John Harbaugh, who are going head to head in this game, they're 2 of the longer tenured coaches with their respective franchises in the NFL. And to your point,
2007 was his first season. So he's more than 14 in.
Okay, so you just kind of look at it and say, okay,
it's his 19th season.
Oh, jeez.
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts to consider.
He took over when he was 34 years old.
I know, because do you remember when he took over? He was like, everyone's like, who?
Yeah, I know.
Because the Rooney family, who owns the Steelers, you mentioned the fact that they've had 3 coaches in 60 years. When they found him and they interviewed him, that's our guy. And everybody's kind of like, he's 34. Like, what are you doing here? But he's proven to be an incredible coach.
Won multiple Super Bowls.
But it does feel like if you fall out of the playoffs here, do they decide, you know what, it's time to move along?
I think he's going to stick around, but you just have to keep asking yourself, if the Steelers don't make a change at head coach, then there's certainly got to be a rebuilding process because that is an aging team.
Yeah, as I say, does Tomlin,
their key players are aging quickly.
Well, yeah, your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers and T.J. Watt.
Hayward's is a Hall of Famer, but he's up there.
Yeah, Cameron Hayward's 30? Yeah, man, I don't know, 38. I don't. But to your point,
lack of skill position players. Who's their stars? They got to. It's time for a rebuild.
And are the black and gold faithful going to be willing to endure a years long rebuild? And is Tomlin, to his credit, willing to go through that? Because you make the point, he's constantly talked about no, we make the playoffs. That's what we do around here. Well, if you really want to get back to being a Super Bowl contender, you're going to have to tear the whole thing down and rebuild it.
Yeah. So Yahoo's reporting that his tenure could be up soon. We'll see. I don't know. But it would be crazy to see the Steelers without Mike Tomlin as head coach. But it's been a long run and feels like something has to give if they don't make the playoffs this season because, as you mentioned, they always make the playoffs. Well, if they don't, and it's pretty clear you got an aging roster. Kind of looks like the Saints a couple years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Where you're looking at the New Orleans Saints, you're like, okay, this run is over.
Yeah.
It's time to rebuild, and that's what they're doing right now. And now you're seeing the team start to see the fruits of that rebuild, winning 4 straight here at the end of this season. So it just feels like it might be the Steelers' time.
Yeah.
And their window could be closed.
Which is just funny to me because, Tomlin's just been a fixture on that sideline, and this is a franchise that has been really reticent to do anything of this nature. But it feels like, to everybody's point out there, they really want to get back because this is a Steelers franchise. They're the team of the 70s. They obviously had that great run. They've won so many Super Bowls. That's what they aspire to do. This current roster is going nowhere.
Yeah, this isn't the quality that the Steelers always try to uphold and attain. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, a Would You Rather. It'll be an NFL Would You Rather. And then coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Bill Bender from college football, writer for Sporting News, college football writer. And then Steve Bartle will join us from Vegas coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as well. So a lot ahead here on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hypotheticals to get your brain churning. as JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Jeremiah Jensen, Jake Hatch in for Alex Kirry here on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for a little Would You Rather. And I want to dip into the NFL playoff bracket. It's almost finalized.
Yeah.
We don't know who the division winners are in the
Correct.
AFC, in the NFC South and the AFC North. But we know the rest of the teams that are in. We don't know all the spots. They haven't been clinched yet. And now you're a 49ers fan, so you're going to be very curious Saturday night how things play out. And the 49ers, which is a credit to them, have a chance to get the number 1 overall seed in the NFC.
Which they need.
You agree they need. By beating Seattle. If they don't beat Seattle, they could potentially drop to 6.
Yeah,
There's a tiebreak that comes in with the Rams and the 49ers. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but I'm curious, though. You look at the AFC and you look at the NFC. That 5 seed is always interesting, Jake, because you're going to play the 4 seed, who honestly doesn't belong in the playoffs. No team in the AFC or the NFC that's going to win those divisions truly, honestly belongs there or deserves to be there.
Yeah.
So in the NFC, you're going to have either the Panthers or the Bucs. The Bucs have just absolutely collapsed. Baker Mayfield's banged up. I think the Panthers are going to win that game, but they don't seem to want it either.
Yeah.
They've had chances to clinch that, and they haven't done it yet. On the other side, we just talked about the Ravens and the Steelers, so everyone's up to speed on that. I think the Ravens are going to find a way to win that game. But you want to be the 5 seed if you're not the 1 seed. Because you're not going to win. You didn't win the division, so it's the best you can do. The reason why you want to be the 5 seed in that scenario is because you're going to go on the road, but you're going to be playing a bad team. So the 49ers would potentially go to Carolina and play the Panthers in the first round. You feel pretty good about that?
I do, especially considering there's a certain guy on San Francisco's side who wants nothing more than to stick it to his former franchise. That would be one Christian McCaffrey. Because they did play the Panthers earlier this year, and he essentially had used like the Michael Jordan, and that it was personal. And he put on a performance that was really impressive in that game. I'd be confident in that. Speaking of San Francisco, going there and winning that game, but considering the circumstance San Francisco finds themselves in, Trent Williams banged up, injured his hamstring on Sunday night. He's obviously the bedrock that offensive line relies upon. You need to get those guys as healthy as possible, so an extra week off would really help San Francisco. But if you're going to drop and you're not going to be one of the division winners, you want that 5 seed because, to your point, JJ, they need to do something about this where a 9-8 Carolina Panthers team that would likely be 8 or 9 in the actual standings, the fact that they're the 4 seed, it can't stand. And it's the same thing with the AFC North. Like, those teams should be in the bottom of the playoffs. And I know that would require the NFL to reseed everything and get everybody on board with this. And
you'd have to get rid of divisions.
Correct. And I'm not sure that people are willing to do that.
I mean, I think the Panthers and the Bucs are gonna. I think the Panthers are gonna lose.
Well,
but they still could. Here's the funny thing: is that the Falcons win and the Panthers lose, the Panthers still get in.
Yeah,
because
tiebreaker.
there would be a 3-way tiebreak. That's it. The Falcons win, and right now the Falcons look pretty good.
Yeah,
and the Falcons beat the Bills and the Rams this year. That's a good football team, but they don't show up every week. So I think the Panthers could lose to the Bucs and still get in.
Yeah,
which is a wild scenario. But that's not my question was, would you rather be the 5 seed in the NFC or the 5 seed in the AFC? Now, the AFC is interesting. The Texans currently reside there.
Yeah.
The Texans going on the road and having to play, let's say, Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think the Texans win that game.
Yeah, I would want the 5 seed in the NFC just because Tampa Bay and Carolina they look ripe for the picking.
Right. I think Texans would get a much tougher game. Now, the Chargers are going to sit Justin Herbert this week. They're in the 6th spot. They're tied. So there's a 3-way tie between the Bills, Chargers, and Texans. The Texans win that tiebreaker currently. between those three teams. So there's still a lot at stake for the Chargers, and they're sitting Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
That's an interesting decision.
It's the debate of rest versus rust. And Harbaugh, speaking of Jim Harbaugh, the head coach of the Chargers, he declared outright. He's like, "No, we're sitting Herbert this weekend." No, Herbert's got the hand he broke, still on the mend there. I can understand that. And the other thing is, let's say that the Chargers had more stakes on this game because they're going up against the Denver Broncos. Denver will clinch the 1 seed with a win, and with the Chargers sitting their guys, you'd think that's going to play out. If there was a chance for the Chargers to move up and potentially have the AFC West crown or be higher up in these standings, you very well may have seen them play their guys. But I just think they're looking at it and saying, you know what? We're okay where we're at.
That's why I bring this up is like, why aren't they going all in on getting the 5 seed? Because that's the better matchup. If they are 6, they got to go to Jacksonville. If they're 7th, they've got to go to New England in the cold
that's a good point.
And try to beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
Why aren't you trying to win this last game against the Broncos? The Bills are going to play the Jets. They're going to win.
Yeah.
The Texans are playing the Colts, who have nothing to play for, but I think the Colts might play hard in that game. If I'm the Chargers, I feels like they're conceding that spot, and they're going to drop to 7th.
That's okay.
And open up against the Patriots on the road. I don't want anything to do with that.
That's a good point.
I want to go play that AFC North champ. I'm playing for the 5 seed.
That's a good point. Now that you say that, I'm like, oh, yeah, that actually, man. Yeah, I don't know now. Now I'm all of a sudden like, I've completely changed my thought process on this because, to your point, that does play into this. Are you trying to go to Foxborough in January? No thanks.
Maybe Harbaugh and that crew has a lot of confidence that while it's a really good Patriots team, that's a Patriots team that overall, especially at the quarterback position, doesn't have previous playoff experience. They feel that confident. Unless you really think Herbert needs the rest for you to even have a chance in the playoffs.
And I guess that's kind of got to be part of the thought process here.
But you're 11-5, and you just a win. The Texans could easily lose to the Colts. The Bills probably not losing.
No.
But they have the tiebreaker over Buffalo. Weird decision.
I don't know.
Strange decision.
I look at it, and Jim Harbaugh, he is an interesting cat.
Right.
And I say that as a guy who had him lead my franchise, speaking of the 49ers, to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he doesn't march to the beat of anybody's drum other than
He's a weirdo is what you're saying.
Oh, no. Come on. This guy was famous for wearing khakis literally every day because he didn't want to think about what he had to wear.
It's weird.
That's legitimately, that's why he wore khakis the whole time he was with the Niners.
Kind of respect it, though.
Sure,
I do.
But kind of psycho behavior at the same time, sicko behavior.
Simplify your life.
That was his thought process.
Buy 7 pairs of khakis.
He kind of wore that black kind of long sleeve, and that's what his whole wardrobe was consisting of.
Yeah, his look is pretty consistent, and their khakis rarely fit. It's like he thought, well, I'm going to buy them bigger in case I grow into them.
You're right. I'm telling you.
That's probably his mentality.
That's just,
but buy them bigger, they'll last longer. I'll grow into them.
That's how Jim Harbaugh operates, man.
Weird dude.
Yeah, to your point, you probably would be wanting to battle for that 5 spot and a chance to go to either Pittsburgh or Buffalo. But I think, once again, this is Jim Harbaugh, and I don't know that anybody really knows what's going on in that brain of his.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios here, and I wanted to bring all those up with the Would You Rather because it's interesting to see who's going to be playing each other, what the matchups are going to be.
Yeah.
This NFL playoffs is going to be awesome.
Real quick, I need to answer a question I promised we'd reveal who won our intro.
Oh, yes.
So, Brant.
We people, you listening have waited long enough. It's time to unveil the KSL Sports Zone Fantasy Football Champion.
Brant is our winner this year.
Congrats.
One of our illustrious techs. And we had an interesting playoffs. Let's just put it that way. It's kind of mainly the producers and techs from the zone that was all competing in this. Alex was in it. Christian was in it. I was in it. I finished in 3rd place, which, considering how my season kind of went up and down the entire way, I'll take it. But wild stuff because we had Connor, who legitimately is very proud of this. He was using AI all year to keep himself. He was the number 1 seed going into the playoffs and finished
Connor, come
a
on,
disappointing 5th place, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Alex?
That's right.
Yeah.
He finished 5th.
Well, he learned a lesson then.
He did learn a lesson.
Christian started the season 1-7.
I was going to say.
I want to say, and he still made the championship game.
Wow.
Yeah, he came back.
I'm telling you, we
What a
had
rally.
We had quite a run.
Sounds fascinating. Time to move on.
Yeah. Anyway,
Who won? Who won it?
Brant.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Brant. Sorry. Yes.
So there
Brant beat Christian in the championship. Hey, congratulations, Brant. So what I think people really want to know is who finished last and what's their punishment.
We never established that.
Was it Parker who finished last? I can't.
I don't remember. I have to go look at this.
Does he have to go to the mall and play the guitar in his underwear? I mean, come up with something.
Send him to IHOP and force him to sit there for 24
Yeah,
hours.
like 24 pancakes in 24 hours.
Pull the Waffle House treatment that they used to do. We
Yeah.
love Waffle Houses here, so.
Yeah, there's been some funny ones out there. That's I'm sure you guys can come up with something.
We'll figure it out.
All right. We're going to figure some things out during the break. We're going to be back. We're going to talk more college football, specifically BYU. Jake, I know you're going to have some insight on some of the things going on with the Cougars right now. There's a lot going on post Pop-Tarts Bowl that could impact 2026. We'll get into it next. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that thing!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We'll sit back and enjoy some Jimi
I was
Hendrix
going to say.
on a New Year's Eve. 4:10 along the Wasatch Front on this Tuesday afternoon. Jeremiah Jensen, Jake Hatch in for Alex Kirry. Last show of 2025, we'll have the Las Vegas Bowl right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone at this time tomorrow, so enjoy the game. If you listen on the radio, we'll have it for you. We've talked about Utah today. I think they're going to win tomorrow. I think they win handily and easily. BYU's already done with their bowl game. BYU has put a bow on 2025, and they're moving into 2026. And, Jake, you cover BYU very, very tightly and closely. You know a lot of things going on, behind the scenes, so I'd love to get your thoughts here while I have you about what BYU is going to look like in 2026. You got a lot of seniors you're going to have to replace. You may have a coordinator or two that needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
As you're looking at BYU moving forward, you know Kalani's back. That was taken care of.
Correct.
But there's a lot of other moving parts. What are some of the things you're looking at right now and you're keeping an eye on? If this happens or who's going to step up here or there as far as position goes, some of the things you're looking forward to figuring out and seeing play out in 2026 for BYU.
Well, so the number one domino that I think we're all expecting to happen is that Jay Hill is expected to join Kyle Whittingham's staff in Michigan. Now, I'm of the opinion that we already talked about this earlier, that after this Las Vegas Bowl, the moving parts for Utah, well, I think that involves whoever Kyle Whittingham is tabbing to take with him, whether it's Jason Becker in the offensive staff, maybe even a defensive staffer or two from Utah. It feels like Jay Hill will be kind of swallowed up in that group, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a waiting game at this point. Now, if you go on social media, the opinions vary widely on this, saying that, well, the longer this goes on, it gives BYU a chance. I really don't think it's that. I just think it's a matter of Kyle wants to not necessarily announce, got this coach. He wants to do like a group and announce them all at the same time and say, these are my guys. Because he made it clear. He says, I'm bringing guys with me, 7 or 8 in theory, maybe keeping 1, 2, or 3 guys from that current Michigan staff.
Yeah.
So it feels like Jay Hill is on his way to Michigan. The associated question with that is, okay, could somebody like a Gary Anderson, Gennaro Guilford, could they be going with him to Ann Arbor? Or could BYU tab one or both of them, something that Hans has hypothesized multiple times over the last couple of days? Could one of those or both of those guys be the tandem that replaces Jay as the defensive coordinator in Provo, Utah?
Wow.
So that's the first moving parts of all this. And then, oh, by the way, Aaron Roderick. PK said it on our airwaves yesterday that he believes that it's very much in play that A-Rod could be going back to Utah as their offensive coordinator.
Imagine that.
He mentioned some lifestyle stuff that he feels like would work out. It's been pretty well known. Aaron's lived at the same house. It's in right near Rice-Eccles Stadium. When BYU played up there last year and won that game, he said after the game, I walked home with my son after the game. It's that close. He lives that close.
Well, he
too.
never needed to sell his house before. I mean, you're still working in the state,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. So
Why move if you like where you're living?
Exactly. So there's a moving part with Jay Hill. Who does he maybe tab if he were to leave BYU with him? And then Aaron Roderick, let's say he does make the move back 40 miles north. Who does he potentially bring with him? And suddenly, how many spots, and in theory, up to 2 coordinator slots, does Kalani Sitake have to backfill?
And somebody skeptic would say, well, why would Aaron Roderick want to go back to a place that fired him?
Well, that's a great question.
Well, the man that fired him is no longer there.
Bingo. It's a new regime. Now, he worked with Morgan Scalley at Utah.
Yes.
So you're thinking like the guy that ultimately let him go is in Ann Arbor, Michigan now. So it's kind of a new era, and that's why I think there may be some appeal for Aaron going back to a place that, once upon a time let him go.
And that would say something about what the relationship is between Aaron Roderick and Morgan Scalley.
Correct, yes.
So you can understand the draw there.
Yeah. So there are a lot of moving parts for BYU, obviously, but there's no real movement yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there won't be. And we talked to we had a Michigan beat writer on yesterday, and he made a great point and said that out of respect for Michigan's coaching staff and Utah's coaching staff, they're not going to make any announcements or make anything official until after both teams have finished their seasons, which is tomorrow. Yeah. Both Michigan and Utah play bowl games tomorrow at 1 p.m. for Michigan, 1:30 p.m. for Utah. Once those games are over, things will start to move.
Yeah, all bets are off at that point.
Then things will move. We could see announcements as early as New Year's Day, most likely on Friday.
Yeah.
And we'll see how this all shakes out. But it's crazy to think that Kyle Whittingham stepping down and then taking this Michigan job not only would have an impact on Utah, which was obvious, but BYU could have been impacted like this as well. Because if BYU has to replace 2 coordinators after all the success that they've enjoyed over the last 2 years, Jake, I'm starting to process this in my brain as look, this happens all the time. All right, coordinators move on.
Yeah.
Changes happen. Every year there's a coaching carousel, especially among assistant coaches. Guys are trying to find new opportunities to grow and progress. This is nothing new. So it's not like this is like, oh my gosh, what's BYU going to do? That's not what I'm saying here. But when you have to replace both coordinators and 2 coordinators that have had such an impact on your identity, Aaron Roderick's been there for a while now.
Yeah.
And coached a lot of guys at the quarterback position that have gone on to the NFL. That's a significant move and loss for BYU. Now, a lot of BYU fans are listening to me right now saying, we should have got rid of that bum a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
Okay, you have your opinions on it, but, I mean, he's put quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, and he's put together some...
They've recruited at a very high level, including just landing Rider Lions.
Yeah.
And they've won 23 games in 2 years.
23 and 4.
At the Power 4 level. And that offense has been pretty good. So, I'm going to go on the radio, and I'm going to give Aaron Roderick a lot of credit for what he's accomplished at BYU. It's pretty remarkable. He's got one heck of a resume. You can have opinions about his play calling, and that's up to you. I'm looking at the overall thing as in my chair where I evaluate it, and Aaron Roderick has been a phenomenal offense coordinator at BYU. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has perfect play calls and this and that and the recruiting, whatever. But you look at his overall resume and what he's accomplished at BYU on the offensive side of the ball, and it's pretty remarkable. And it's no secret what Jay Hill's been able to do. And the difference he's made since he's come on board as that defensive coordinator. And I cover high school football and college, and I see all the movement from recruiting in the high school ranks here, especially here in Utah, to what he's done there. And Jay Hill has made a massive difference for BYU in their ability to get in-state kids in Utah to go to BYU. Falatau Satuala is at BYU because of Jay Hill.
Yeah. And Associated Impact, let's say he does go to
Again,
Michigan.
We saw John Henry Daly enter the transfer portal today. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I have no idea what kids' plans are, but when these guys leave, a lot of these players who have relationships with those coordinators and assistant coaches, sometimes the players have greater relationships with the coordinators and the assistants than they do the head coach.
Yeah, you learn very quickly which guys committed to universities for which coach, essentially, when stuff like this goes down. So, yeah, and Falatau's been open. Says the reason why he picked BYU in large part was Jay Hill. So if Jay Hill were to move on, it'd be very natural to think that Falatau's going to be like, Wonder what Michigan looks like.
Yeah, and then how much money do they have to give
Correct.
a kid that's shown what I've shown this season?
Yeah.
Faletau Satawala was a breakout. I'm not surprised.
No, but
he was a breakout player for BYU this year defensively, made some massive, massive plays to help them win games.
So, but to your point, it's like, okay, there's going to be Cougar fans that think about the fact that we just went 12-2, we're going to lose both of our coordinators potentially. What is going on in pro? Like, it's going to set off alarm bells in their head.
Right. I get that.
I want to add, though, that you kind of need to reframe your thought process when it comes to BYU in this circumstance, because I think a lot of Cougar fans out there are still stuck in the BYU is the Little Sisters of the Poor type program.
Right.
Because that's what they were for decades, even in Independence.
It was tough in Independence, yeah.
We had, when Bronco Mendenhall left for Virginia, Tom Homo sat at that press conference and said, well, the question I think was asked him, did you try and keep him? And he said, we couldn't compete with the money. It's like, we're straight up.
I'm glad you brought that up because Bronco Mendenhall's contract was $3 million a year.
Yeah, and they couldn't
in 2016,
and they couldn't compete with that.
Right?
And they said
how times have
They
changed.
said, "Hey, Bronco, thank you, but moving along."
Yeah.
Now BYU is capable of paying Kalani Sitake reportedly somewhere between $8.5 and $9.5 million annually, making him the second highest paid coach in the Big 12 Conference.
Yep.
Which shows how far they've come in about a decade's worth of time. But it also points to the fact, and I think I want to get this across to Cougar fans, is understand that if they do lose one or both of these coordinators, they also have an opportunity to go out and attract people out there to BYU who are going to look at the track record and say, that's not a broken program. I want in on that.
Yeah.
And names and
I don't know. Bear Bachmeier coming back. That's
Correct.
attractive.
And there are people going to say, well, is Bear Bachmeier going to go with Aaron Roderick? TBD. But the question is, you look at it as an offensive coordinator, for example, say, you have a freshman quarterback just put up 3,500 total yards, one of the best single seasons in recent memory, in a run of pretty good seasons for quarterbacks at BYU. Yeah, I want to work with that kid. And then flipping over to the defense, well, Jay Hill's put together a top 25 caliber defense for 3 straight years. And the crazy thing is, a lot of people think that the talent in BYU's defense right now pales in comparison into what is coming in terms of the recruiting classes of late, that a lot of guys on missions and the like, they're going to come back. So I look at it and say, okay, yeah, if you lose one or both of these coordinators, understand that Kalani Sitake is going to have multiple options to backfill those spots. And in some cases, they actually may upgrade in a way. A lot of people point to the Kevin Young thing. Mark Pope did some incredible things at BYU. Well, Kevin Young's taken what Mark Pope did and is blown it out of the water.
Yeah.
So I think it's the thought
You can
process.
do amazing things with money.
Yeah. And the other thing about this is as I've talked with people in and around BYU, multiple names have surfaced in terms of potential coordinators. One, for example, Tony White. Do you know that name by chance?
Florida State?
Florida State defensive coordinator right now. Did you know that he was baptized as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints earlier this year?
Well, the timing was impeccable.
March, in fact.
Okay.
He's got a
Welcome, Brother White.
But I'm just saying, there are options out there. And he's coordinated high-level defenses now at Syracuse, Nebraska, and most recently, I was this past season at Florida State.
Yeah.
He's got a good track record at the Power 4 level. I'm not saying that he is the option for BYU, but he is an option.
There are guys out there that could fill those voids that are competent and experienced, and there's a pool of coaches that they can turn to. And again, this idea that, and you bring up a good point, these LDS, I mean, there's been plenty of guys that coach at BYU that aren't, and that's not a problem, especially with assistant coaches. So the pool of assistant choices is not as shallow as the head coach choices. And so there's going to be a lot of options for Kalani Sitake out there. And the thing about Kalani, and I'll also add to this, is every time we kind of poke fun at it, but it's true. Every time Kalani Sitake does a press conference or media availability, or there's a coach that he's facing that week, he talks about his relationship with that coach and how, and about their kids and their wife, and how they had a great time at some coaching convention or on a cruise or something. We poke fun at Kalani for saying that, but the fact is, that's Kalani. He has relationships with so many people. He's so well respected. He's so easy to get along with. He's such a great guy that he's built those relationships. He's well connected. His network goes beyond what you think it is. And he can tap into that.
And he will tap into it. And his guys are loyal to him to a fault. I'm telling you, if one or both of these coordinators leave, a lot of people would think that like the entire side of that football staff is probably going with them. Not in this case.
Right.
A lot of those guys are loyal to Kalani and want to stick around in Provo versus going with Jay or Aaron in theory, and would be willing to work with whoever were to come in as the new coordinator. Because Kalani, you mentioned the fact he is just kind of one of those classic, goes out there and people are like, I like this dude.
Yeah.
Joey McGuire was effusive in his praise for him, and Kalani vice versa did the same thing. But that's just kind of the microcosm of who Kalani is. He networks extremely well, and having those connections he has across the coaching universe is going to have a lot of guys saying, yeah, I've heard about this dude. I want to go work with him. And that is going to give, you mentioned the fact that the head coaching pool, you have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to be the head coach of BYU. Assistants don't have that. Jeff Grimes, and I asked Jeff Grimes straight up when he came back as the offensive coordinator, because he had never gone back to a program that he had coached at before, and he had done a stint with Bronco Mendenhall as the O-line coach.
Yep.
And his answer to me was, there's something special about this place. That's why I wanted to come back. And I think that most coaches who come to Provo and work with a guy like Kalani realize, this is a pretty good gig I got here. And they're not really looking to bail at the first opportunity.
Real quick, the personnel-wise, and it's going to shake out. There's so many unknowns right now, but just based on what's coming back.
Yeah.
Let's assume L.J. Martin moves on to the NFL.
Yeah.
Do they have the personnel to have another season like they have the last two? Or should BYU fans brace for something different?
You're going to need to find at least one or two running backs, it feels like, in the portal. I think Jovessa DeMooney's got some juice to him, but
you got to have
an L.J. Martin.
more proven, bigger physical backs.
So you're gonna have to hit the portal and try and find a guy there. I think you probably need to pull a wide receiver out of the portal as well to replace the Chase Roberts type.
That's going to be tough.
Which is going to be tough.
Him.
But the nice part is you have a stellar quarterback. And you and I both know how important the quarterback is, especially.
Who's only going to get better.
Correct. So, in theory, you go out in the portal and say, hey, there's this kid named Bear Bachmeyer over here. Do you want to come and play with him? There's going to be guys in the portal like, yeah, sign me up. I'm in on that, because they know that, hey, there's guys around me to succeed. The offensive line, there's a little bit of retooling that's going to happen there, because you have guys like Isaiah Jada and Waylon Lapuaho, who are both seniors moving on. But they have TJ Woods, to his credit. He has cultivated a very, very talented unit, and he'll just kind of just plug and play guys. So there's a lot of good pieces there, and I trusted the defense, even with maybe Isaiah Glasker moving on. We know that Jack Kelly's out, but Keanu Tanavasa has all but indicated he plans on returning. So you've got pieces to build around here. Now you just need to retool it a little bit, use some of the portal additions and that money that Kalani apparently negotiated in his deal, NIL-wise, and then bolster this lineup and make another run at a Big 12 title.
So a lot of things to be excited about with BYU. There's going to be change, as there is every year. Mm-hmm. How much change? We should find out hopefully by the end of this week or in the coming days. But it's going to be an interesting offseason in Provo for the Cougars, as it always is. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, Bill Bender, college football writer for Sporting News, will join us. A lot of things to dig into, including Michigan hiring Kyle Whittingham. He'll have a take on that. I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on BYU and Utah. And, of course, the college football playoffs continue with the quarterfinals in bowl games coming up on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We'll get his thoughts on those games as well. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen, Jake Hatchin for Alex Kirry. All right, bowl season kicks into high gear. Not only do we have some good bowl games coming up on December 31st, but the playoffs continue as well. Jake, I'm going to throw out some games. Your real quick thoughts on whether you're watching that or not. I know you're watching everything, but rate how much you love these games. Nebraska, Utah.
I watch it, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
Iowa, Vanderbilt.
The Diego Pavia experience is
Pavia hooks me. Iowa, I'm not interested in, but Vanderbilt, yes. ACC champion Duke and Arizona State in the Sun Bowl.
I'm a sicko, so I might turn it on, but I'm not like appointment viewing. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, that is a sicko game, I think, for sure. Texas, Michigan, not so sicko. I like that.
That should be a fun game, especially with the added intrigue of, Kyle Whittingham taking over Michigan. And Sark, another BYU alum, leading the Texas Longhorns.
That's right. So there's a lot of interest there locally as well as nationally. And, of course, Miami and Ohio State will play 5:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve in the Cotton Bowl as the playoffs continue on. Let's talk about the playoffs and much more, and the new head coach at Michigan with a friend of the program, Bill Bender, joins us, college football writer for the Sporting News. Bill, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
No, always a pleasure. Happy New Year to you. Hope you're enjoying your holidays. And I know you've been working hard during the holidays. You've been all over this Michigan situation with Kyle Whittingham. We would love to get your thoughts on the hire for Michigan of Kyle Whittingham.
Well, I think given where they were in the cycle and to be able to get a coach of that experience and that prestige, they needed somebody. When I do coach rankings, as you guys know, I've been at Sporting News for 15 years doing these. He was always in the top 15. So you land a top 15 coach, no issues there. They need somebody to kind of as a foundation piece for where they go next. They needed to break away from the Harbaugh era, and they get all that. And I think one of the allure, maybe perhaps for Kyle, was, you get to have the challenge of coaching in that. Now, as Urban Meyer said yesterday on his pod, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on him. And I'm not saying he didn't have scrutiny at Utah, but when you're at Michigan, I mean, everything's overanalyzed. I know that just from living up here over the years. I mean, especially as it pertains to that chase against Ohio State. So it's an interesting juxtaposition for me because he dealt with you. He had a really good record in that Utah-BYU rivalry. That's what Ohio State and Michigan coaches are judged on, that record in that rivalry game.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you about. He was asked, hey, do you hate Ohio State? He's like, well, I guess I do now. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things, sorry to interrupt, but I'm 46 years old, and I could probably get you just about every record of the Ohio State Michigan coach my lifetime. I know that John Cooper was 2-10-1. I know that Urban Meyer was 7-0. Harbaugh, I'm going to miss this now that I said it on the air. I think he was 3-5, something like that. And technically, because Sharon Moore coached in one of those games. So we know all the records, and that's why Ryan Day was 1-4 is going into this year. Now he's 2-4, and the heat's off a little bit. But that's a legacy-defining game and part of it. And I think the other part is, just being in the playoff. Can you get them back to the playoff, which they haven't done the last 2 years?
As you look at this hire for Kyle Whittingham at Michigan, why will it work or why won't it work?
It would work because they need, like I said, that foundation piece. One of the things with Utah, and you guys know this over the years, is I looked at the NFL draft development. Not a ton of first-round picks recently, but I think 3. But the guys that were, Bolus and Devin Lloyd, he was a monster. When I was looking that up, I was like, I forgot how good he was. Luke Kincaid or Dalton Kincaid. Yeah. And then, Fano will be a first rounder, right? I'm not reaching there, but he has those. Michigan is at its best when it's big, physical, tough football. And Utah was always that. You saw that with the rushing offense this year. So that's why it would work. Why it won't, maybe it just doesn't mesh. And again, the scrutiny is a little bit different. I thought Brady Hoke would work at Michigan. It didn't. Remember, it took Jim Harbaugh a good 5 years to really get it to work at Michigan, and people debate the tenets of why that worked to this day, obviously, with the scandal with the sign stealing.
Well, yeah, and that's a very good point you make there. And Kyle has cultivated very good relationships with the media here in Salt Lake, and a lot of the national media have enjoyed their associations with him. But you mentioned the fact that the scrutiny at Michigan is just, it's unlike many other places, and it's obviously Ohio State's in that similar vein. And Kyle will tell you that he is more polished, I think is the term he used, about the way he interacts with the media these days. Do you feel like Michigan fans are going to go into this with an open mind and really let him go about establishing himself, even though he is 66 years old and on the kind of the backside of his career?
Well, I would hope so, because you can't be choosy at this point, given the scandal that happened, right, with Sharon and everything that was. I keep saying, I don't know if I've been on this show since, but that could have been a lot worse. And it was those circumstances around that. So I do think you'll get a little bit of a honeymoon phase, obviously, in year one. But if you look, again, look at their schedule next year. Oklahoma's early. That's about when the honeymoon will end, because Oklahoma's coming up to Ann Arbor, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. Somebody asked me the other day if Michigan was still a top 3 program in the Big Ten. And strangely, right now, the answer would be no, because I think the top 3 programs might be playing in the semifinals here in a week.
That's an interesting take. And so, it's going to be a challenge for Whittingham to keep them in that top 3 right now, because Indiana's established themselves, and I don't think Cignetti and what Indiana's doing is a short-term thing. I think they've got something that's really special there. Looking ahead to the playoff quarterfinals, starts tomorrow night, Miami, Ohio State. Do you think there's going to be any surprises here, or do you think it's going to be chalk?
I feel like that's going to be chalky, and here's the reason why. We've heard now. Okay, so here's a stat for you guys. When those 2 programs, and this has been circulating today, when they played in the 2003 BCS championship game, and I know you guys remember, what a game.
Yeah.
There were 100 football players stepped on that field. 52 were drafted.
Jeez.
That's
insane.
mind-boggling. When you go look at the roll call, the best way I described it was Vince Wilfork came off the bench for Miami.
Wow.
What are we doing?
And an NFL Hall of Famer is a bench player. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Miami has been waiting. You can tell by the chatter. They've been waiting for this moment. They still talk about that Glenn Sharp interference call, so there's definitely going to be heat around it. Now, I think people are forgetting that Ohio State didn't allow more than 16 points in a game this year. And that defense has All-Americans all over the place, and if Carson Beck turns the ball over, we will get the chalk. If Julian Sayin has time to throw to those receivers, I think the Buckeyes take care of their business. I have it at 27-13, and I feel like that's about right.
Now, big game of local interest is the lone Big 12 representative with Texas Tech taking on Oregon. You mentioned the fact you believe that the top 3 teams in the Big Ten could be semifinal bound. That kind of leads me to think that you think that this is a one and done situation for the Red Raiders.
Don't feel great about it, though, because I think they can win that game. And you guys saw it up close and personal, so you could probably tell me more. My biggest curiosity going into this game is Texas Tech defense is dominant around Jacob Rodriguez. Is it dominant against Oregon? And Oregon, in the best offense Texas Tech played was Utah by points. And I watched that game. I watched that game all the way through, and I do feel like Utah missed opportunities when that was a game. And then it kind of snowballed in the fourth quarter. You guys can tell me I'm wrong.
No, that's correct.
Does Oregon take advantage of those opportunities around Dante Moore? And if so, how does Texas Tech respond? I think it would be, and I can say this, I think it would be great for college football if Texas Tech won the game, because it would put them in the Final Four, and you'd have a Big 12 team in there instead of an SEC Big 10 invitational. And I think that would be wonderful for the sport. It really is a coin flip game. I lean Oregon because I like their big play capability, but that's not to say Texas Tech can't win that game.
Just want to get your thoughts on BYU. They just wrapped up a 12-win season. They've won 23 games in 2 years. Not many teams in the country have done that. Your overall thoughts on what they've accomplished right now and how they can keep that momentum moving now that Kalani Sitake is locked up long term?
What they accomplished was I picked Georgia Tech to win the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So they come, and so they busted my picks. That Saturday was brutal, by the way, for me. But they are a very tough program. I think they showed that toughness in that game. Bear played great. He threw the ball well. He got the ball down the field. They took advantage of that Georgia Tech defense. I like the grit around Kalani. I think they are just a solid program. Utah and BYU coming into the Big 12 have been huge additions because I wonder, and something Brett Yormark said at Media Day has stuck with me all year. It would be good for the conference if one or two programs separated. Utah's been good across multiple conferences. BYU has as well. And why can't it be those two programs? And BYU's well on its way to doing that. I mean, they are the only team that has won, what was the stat? It was something like they were the only team that's won double-digit games each of the last two seasons that didn't make the playoff.
Well, that stands out because obviously there was a lot of shouts here locally that BYU was well, they missed out on the playoff unjustly. I think is probably the best way to say it from a lot of people's perspective out here. Now, Bill, I want to ask you, as you look forward, you mentioned the fact that Yormark, and I was there at Big 12 Media Days as well, when he did say that he wanted to see one or two teams separate, and that kind of screams, okay, who's got the most money? And that would scream Texas Tech and BYU, if you believe the reports, that they're the two biggest spenders in the league. Are you of the opinion in this day and age of college football, it's the biggest spenders are going to be at the top of these respective leagues?
It's part of that, but I mean, I grew up again in they used to call the Big Ten the Big Two.
Yeah.
It was just Ohio State and Michigan, and Michigan's in a spot where I don't know. Indiana proved with Cignetti that you can do it that way. You can do it in unorthodox ways. I think Oregon. I don't know. You guys maybe have a better pun than I do, trying to come up with like a oil money versus Nike money tomorrow. Like which one's better and that kind of thing. I do think in the NIL era, the Texas schools have benefited a great deal, whether it's Tech or A&M made the playoff. Texas Longhorns are arguing that they should be in. That is definitely a piece of it, but I still think it's a combo of that, how you recruit, and how you work the portal. As soon as we get off the phone here, I got to go start sorting out all these portal quarterbacks and figure out who's going where. That's a huge piece of this puzzle, too.
Oh, man, the dominoes that are about to fall in college football with the portal opening on Friday, I mean, it's going to be pretty wild. And buckle up. I think we're talking locally about how BYU and Utah may have to replace coordinators, both, plural. So it's pretty wild. All the things that are going on behind the scenes right now. The next few days are going to be crazy. And, of course, the playoffs as well. And Bill Bender covers it better than anybody at the Sporting News. Check out all of his stuff. He's got great content on Kyle Whittingham taking over as the Wolverines head coach and much more. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Always appreciate it. Always great conversation with you.
Hey, anytime. You guys have a great new year. I'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
You too, Bill. Happy New Year. Bill Bender, college football writer for the Sporting News. Some interesting takes on the playoffs, Kyle Whittingham, and BYU moving forward as well.
When he knows that rivalry because he still lives in Ohio.
Oh no, yeah, he's right in the thick of it.
So he knows exactly.
That's his wheelhouse.
He knows exactly what Kyle Whittingham is in for in his new job.
And Kyle's been in this job a long time.
Sure,
he knows what he's taking on. And when he calls it a top 5 job in the country, there's a lot of things that come along with the top 5 job that aren't fun.
Yeah.
And you even saw Jim Harbaugh played at Michigan. He is Michigan. And they almost ran him out of town because he couldn't beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
And he had to cheat to do it. But he did it.
Yep.
And now he's a legend.
Yes.
You go to Michigan and you win a national championship, you are immortal.
Correct. Yeah.
And if Kyle Whittingham, and honestly, the only thing that Kyle Whittingham has not accomplished in his career is going to the playoff and winning a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And you're now taking over a job and going to a place where that's expected every year. Even under Sharon Moore, Michigan fans expected to go to the playoff and compete for a national championship. Why not? They did it 2 years ago. So that's the expectation that Kyle Whittingham is walking into. And when you don't meet that expectation, and Bill brings up a great point, is Michigan still top 3 program in the Big Ten?
I think
top 4, top 5.
I'd say top 5-ish, but that's not what Michigan wants to be.
I mean, Penn State.
Yeah.
2 years ago, made a further run than Michigan.
Playoff semifinal.
Did.
Yeah.
I know that things didn't happen well this year. They got a new head coach. I think they nailed their hire. Matt Campbell and Penn State. Feels like milk and cookies to me, man.
Well, and he went and
I
hired
think it's great.
Danton Lynn out of USC to be his DC like that.
I think Penn State is in a great position. I think Oregon's going to continue to roll. Cignetti's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sold on Indiana now moving forward. I thought last year was some kind of fluke. Their schedule was soft.
Amen. Yeah.
This year, they shut me up, man. Mendoza wins the Heisman. Indiana goes undefeated. They win the Big Ten. They beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm sold on Indiana, man. That's not a flash in the pan, folks. Indiana's here to stay. Kyle Whittingham's got his work cut out for him at Michigan just to finish in the top 4 or 5 in the Big Ten now.
But I think that's what he's looking forward to with this because he understands if you have that success, because he does want to play in the playoff. He does want to have a chance to compete for a national title. And if he has the success he envisions, maybe he doesn't win the Big Ten. But, JJ, if he finishes in the top 3 in the Big Ten, you're going to be in the playoff field.
And then you get a chance every year. You finish top 3 in the big, and if the playoff expands to 16,
4.
You're getting 4 teams in from the Big Ten. Sorry, that's how this is going to work.
Yeah, so I think he's looking at it pragmatically, saying, I don't have to win the league every year. No. I just got to finish in that top 4.
Just got to get to the playoff. But Bill brings up a great point. Where's Michigan in the hierarchy right now?
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham's got to establish it pretty quick that we're in the top 3.
that he does.
And to do that, you've got to be able to show you can beat Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon. You're probably not playing those teams every year, which brings up a whole other conversation about the problem in college football right now.
Well,
the conferences are too big. But
correct.
You just got to get to the playoff, get to the Big 12 championship or Big 10 championship game, get to the playoff. Kyle Whittingham has to prove that he can do that. And to do that, though, you're probably going to have to be top 4 in the Big 12 or the Big 10 every single year. And that is the standard, and that's the expectation of Michigan. And if you fall short, they're going to come get you.
Yeah.
They're coming for you.
They'll let you know real quick.
The fire's a lot hotter in Ann Arbor than it is in Salt Lake City. I promise you that. Okay. We'll take a break. When we come back, a little top 10 game. Jake's going to take a shot at the top 10. You going to help him out, Annapolis? Probably.
Thanks.
Does that give you confidence?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
This will be fun next. Top 10 coming up. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for the top 10. We do this Tuesday through Friday here on JJ and Alex, and I'm usually the person that has to try to...
You're the victim?
Get the top 10, and Alex tries to stump me every day, and he works really hard at it, and he makes me look stupid on air. So, Jake, now it's your turn to look stupid on air.
Let's go.
I know DJ and PK try to do that to you every morning.
Well,
we'll just try to make you feel comfortable here as well.
I was going to say, isn't that like just my everyday life? Come on, let's go.
All right, this won't be too hard. It's going to be NBA related because we've got a Jazz game tonight. Jazz and Celtics tonight. Celtics in town. Celtics have been surprisingly good this year. We thought that they were going to, do what the Indiana Pacers are doing and take a gap year because of an injury. Not so fast. The Celtics are in the mix in the Eastern Conference, having a great season. Jaylen Brown is doing really well, and they're 19-12 coming into town, 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. Today's top 10 is NBA related. Top 10 NBA scorers right now. You don't have to do them in order.
We're talking career?
No.
Okay.
This season. You're going to try to name the top 10 scorers in the NBA right now.
Okay.
And it's going to be hard because I know you've been locked in on college football.
Yeah.
It's tough to get locked in on the NBA in November and December. So we're going to test your NBA knowledge currently right now.
Okay.
So we got to start.
Sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
We got to do that. There's a protocol here, Jake.
I apologize.
Okay. Alex Napolis decides when we're ready to go. When he turns on the timer. Napolis, whenever you're ready. Go. Top 10 scores in the NBA right now.
All right. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Ding.
Nikola Jokic.
Ding.
Oh, geez. Jalen Brunson.
Ding.
Okay, let's see. Oh, Luka Doncic.
Ding.
Jeez. Kawhi Leonard. Oh, man. Let's see. Paolo Banchero. Oh, my gosh. This is awful. I'm going to... Oh, Kevin Durant. What?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Jaylen Brown, who's in town tonight.
Oh, yeah, Jaylen Brown.
Ding, ding, ding.
Good call, Alex. Thank you. Jaylen Brown. Let's see. Who else we got here? Lauri Markkanen, maybe?
Ding, ding, ding.
I was going to say, because he's been on a scoring tear most of the season. Obviously, the local connection.
Can you get one at the buzzer?
Man. Oh, Steph Curry.
Ding.
Okay.
Oh, Donovan.
Oh, Donovan Mitchell.
Ding.
Okay. Oh.
There's a buzzer beater. You did it. You did a good job.
How many do we have to do? We get any of those?
We'll go through, and you'll see how many you got.
Okay.
Number one. No, should I get 10 and 1 or 1 to 10? What do you guys prefer?
Go 10 to 1.
Let's go 10 to 1. Number 10 is Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz.
All right, there we go.
Lauri Markkanen is top 10 in scoring, which in my opinion probably should be in the All-Star game if you're top 10 in the league in scoring. Just my opinion.
I would agree.
Number 9, Steph Curry.
All right.
Usually at the top. Late in this career is still 9th, though. which is impressive when you know how old Steph Curry is. To still be in the top 10 in scoring is pretty impressive. You did not get number 8, and you're going to kick yourself. This is possibly my favorite NBA player currently. Superstar from the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards is 8th in the league in scoring. Number 7, you got Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks. Number 6, you got Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 5, easy, Nikola Jokic, who's now going to miss a month with a knee injury. So,
which is like the best case scenario for how bad that looked when he.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Hyperextended like that.
But it's going to be really tough for Jokic to win the MVP award with a knee injury, and we'll see what that impact that might have on the Nuggets playoff standing situation. Number 4 is in town tonight. Jaylen Brown, one of the big reasons why the Celtics have remained competitive and are 19-12 on the season, is the scoring of Jaylen Brown. He is number 4. Number 3, you guys missed. Tyrese Maxey is 3rd in the NBA.
I would have never gotten that one.
Scoring.
Like, I know that the 76ers have been like wholly reliant on him, but I would have never guessed that he's
that's how reliant
top 10, if not top 5. Wow. Jeez.
Tyrese Maxey, number 3 in the NBA in scoring. Number 2, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay.
And number 1 is Luka Doncic of the LA Lakers. But how about that? Lauri Markkanen is number 10. It's also interesting to look, and I'll run through this real quick. The top 20 scorers in the league. When you run through those, there's other surprises in that top 20 as well. Number 11 is Austin Reeves. Jeez. Number 12, Cade Cunningham. Makes sense, right?
Okay, yeah.
The Pistons are number 1 in the East. James Harden still has it, number 13.
All right.
The number 14 scorer in the NBA, Michael Porter Jr. of the Brooklyn Nets.
Jeez, MPJ, man.
Kevin Durant is down to 15. Denny Avdia of the Portland Trailblazers is 16th in the league in scoring.
Portland's so
Denny is having a year, and if you're not paying attention, he has been a revelation for the Trailblazers this year, taking his game to another level. He is a top 20 scorer in the league now. Devin Booker's number 17, Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Jamal Murray, 18. Number 19, Keyonte George, 24.2 points per game. Keyonte George is a top 20 scorer in the NBA this year.
What a leap he has taken.
An amazing leap. And then Norman Powell is number 20. Jalen Johnson just on the outside there.
Okay.
So that is 2 Utah Jazz players in the top 20 in scoring. Did you think that was going to happen this year?
No.
If you said so, you're lying.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive. Lowry and Keyonte, that's how good they have been this year. So you're going to see 3 of the top 20 scorers in the NBA tonight at the Delta Center when the Celtics and Jazz tangle. The only trip the Celtics make out west this season to play the Jazz. And, of course, you can hear that game right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We got to take a break. When we come back, Steve Bartle is live in Las Vegas. A lot to discuss with Steve. John Henry Daly's in the transfer portal. Kyle Whittingham was in the transfer portal and has landed at Michigan. And all the movement that could happen on the coaching staff. So many questions. Hopefully Steve's got some answers. We'll hit him up next on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Utah fans hoping for some satisfaction Wednesday in Vegas. The Utes take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Las Vegas Bowl. 1:30 p.m. kickoff. We've got you covered here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, pre- and post-game shows. The actual game right here on the air. So this is the last show of 2025 for JJ and Alex. Tomorrow you will be able to hear the Utes and Cornhuskers right here on the KSL Sports Zone. And it's a perfect time for us to talk to our Utah insider, Steve Bartle. A lot going on with the Utes. Utah football is the cut at 5 o'clock.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The cut's brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Give them a call today, your local financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Vegas.com. Coming to us live from Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas, baby. It's Steve Bartle on JJ and Alex. Steve, how's Vegas treating you?
Man, it's treating me pretty good, JJ. It's been a good time down here.
Awesome.
So, Steve, what's on the must-eat list while you're down there?
The must-eat list?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever pulls up the best rating around it. I don't know.
I might recommend. Have you been to Din Tai Fung? Have you been to Din Tai Fung?
Oh
like
yeah,
I
Kidder
have.
loves Din Tai Fung.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We could turn this into a food show
I know.
if you're not careful.
I'm just saying.
I got Vegas spots too.
Because Vegas has got everything. But
Yes, they do.
Wonder if Steve had a certain spot he's gonna hit. Hey, Steve, give us your vibe coming out of the. It was like a lunch/press conference today with both teams down there in Vegas. Just give us the vibe of how you feel about Utah as they head into this game tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting opportunity. It was a media availability, sort of the press conference for the bowl game, and we had the opportunity to hear from Morgan Scalley, Devin Dampier, and Lander Barton from Utah side, and then also Matt Rule and a couple of their players as well. And with Morgan getting a first look at him, it was it was interesting to hear what he had to say, and it was sort of a refreshing experience listening to Morgan talk about the game. And you've just become so accustomed to how Kyle Whittingham responds to things. You could almost like have quotes almost typed up before he said it, and then obviously as he's saying it, you're correcting yourself, but you almost have these templates of responses from Kyle Whittingham. And so to hear from Scally today, it was just kind of refreshing in a lot of ways. And so he's talked about needing to set the culture and needing to send these seniors out on a high note and finish the season on the high note. And that was echoed by both Dev and Lander, that they have a goal to finish the season on a win, and so I think that's the mindset of the team as they prepare for the bowl game tomorrow. But it's been interesting. There's been a lot of talk about a new energy with Morgan Scalley at the helm, that's going to be something that we see. And so, there certainly seems to be a pretty upbeat vibe around the team right now.
Well, that's refreshing because, look, we all know where bowl games are at right now in 2025, 2026. They're not what they used to be. And, the guys are sitting out, guys that are going to league or whatever. And we remember what happened in Vegas 2 years ago. That was a colossal waste of time. It sucked, right? You get the vibe that this team is wanting to be there. They want to play in this game. They want to win this game. Do you expect Utah to bring their best on Wednesday?
I mean, define best, right, in this type of game. Obviously I think we know what bowl games are, and I think that's just going to have, an impact on how teams play. Yeah. This is not going to be their best performance of the season where they come out and are sharp and playing at a really intense level. I don't think it's going to be that type of game, but I do think, the guys and the team that they do want to win this game. And so that's going to, it's going to come down to, as Morgan Scalley said, it's going to come down to who plays the best in the trenches. Cause that's really, when you talk about the groups that really want to win a game, you gotta really want to win a game when you're talking about the guys in the trenches to put your body through that, for one last time this season. You're just starting to, there's just a lot of, things that you consider, but I think this team is pretty determined to get the win. And there's certainly that type of energy and feel from this squad down here.
You talk about trench play, and we know that, correct me if I'm wrong here, neither of the Faunos are playing, both Logan and Spencer. Caleb Lomu is sitting out as well, as I understand it, Steve, and obviously John Henry Daly, now since he's going to the portal day, he was already out. So just give us a sense of what Utah should look like in the trenches with some of those standout guys along both fronts not playing in this game.
Yeah, there's going to be, some new faces in a couple of key spots for Utah. It's been interesting. I think, most players should be available for this one. I think even Ryan Davis is going to be back and playing, perhaps even Nate Ritchie as well. Utah getting those guys back after pretty significant injuries. But, when talking about how Utah is going to replace, what they've got at those two end spots on both sides of the line, I think we're going to see a guy like Zeroy Williams step up at left tackle. We'll see, one of Keith Olsen or Alex Harrison or Solotoa Moyai or one of those guys at right tackle. And then on the other side, you're probably going to see Lance Hoskell and Cash Dillon. You're going to see those guys man those edge positions. Outside of that, I think Utah, it's going to be a pretty familiar lineup the rest of the way, throughout the rest of the roster. And so I think, again, which just sort of kind of speaks to, Utah's mindset. They've got this group together. They've been healthy, and I think it sort of all leads to this team again wanting to go out on a win tomorrow.
Well, the most intriguing storylines take place off the field for Utah right now, and I wish that wasn't the case, but it just is. The news that John Henry Daly is jumping into the transfer portal. What do you know about that situation, and what are your expectations how that's going to end up?
Yeah, I know. I think that's an interesting one with John Henry Daly. Obviously, he had a great season this year, was among the best, edge defenders, pass rushers in the country this year, finished with 11.5 sacks and 40-something, nearly 50 tackles for loss. He proved to be a playmaker. And I think for him, what sucks is his injury and what he suffered, in that game against Kansas State. It's a significant injury, and it's one that he's going to have to prove that he's right. And so, for Henry Daly, he's obviously, when you have that sort of production as a pass rusher, that comes with a pretty handsome reward when you're talking about the transfer portal and NIL and what these guys are able to make now. For him, he's going to be looking probably for a pretty handsome payday, right? And for Utah, you've sort of been in this situation before where, you have a great player that suffers an injury in one of the final games of the season. And, as optimistic as you want to be with their recovery and when they can start to play, when you have a significant injury like the one Henry Daly and referring back to Cam Rising, the injury that those guys had were pretty significant. And so I think, there's a little bit of caution there from Utah's perspective, but, JHD, I think, is a tremendous player and that's sort of where we're at with that situation. And I think he's certainly worthy of an opportunity to go into the transfer portal and look for, that type of payday because, he's just proved to be one of the top pass rushers in the country this season.
All right, Steve, I got to ask you, when you saw Kyle Whittingham wearing a Michigan hat and saying "Go Blue" the other day, how surreal was it?
Oh, dude, it was super surreal. I mean, it was just, I still can't wrap my head around it that Kyle Whittingham is going to be, patrolling the sidelines, at the Big House, really. Yeah. It's not just another stadium, it's the Big House. And that's the type of job that I think Kyle Whittingham, I think he's put himself in this situation. He's proven to be a good coach. I think this is the type of situation where everybody's going to be curious about how he actually does at Michigan, right? What type of success is he going to lead that program to? It's just kind of surreal to think about, but certainly it'll add some additional storylines for Utah fans and people in the state to follow next year, because I think everybody's interested in seeing what that program looks like, what that staff looks like, and what he can do in Ann Arbor, where the expectations are national championships, right? Like that's the goal, that's the task. And how does he actually do? Everybody's said that he's a great coach that's just lacked the resources, and he'll have a chance to prove those people right.
Obviously, Kyle Whittingham going to Ann Arbor creates a situation where it's likely he's taking some coaches and potentially players with him. What are you hearing right now? What are your expectations when it comes to staff members at Utah that could be on their way out, headed to Ann Arbor or elsewhere?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I think, Jay Hill, is maybe the most likely as of right now with Utah and Jason Beck. He's been considered the top target for Kyle Whittingham and to bring him over because that just, that brings so much familiarity. Jim Harding is another guy that is considered to be following Kyle Whittingham to Michigan, but I know that Jim, has some options on the table that he may not necessarily leave for Michigan. So there's a lot of potential here, right? And I think the big one for Utah is obviously Jason Beck. And just given the success you had this season, the potential to bring back a lot of pieces from the offense this year with Jason Beck at the helm. There's been a big push from Morgan Scalley and Utah to keep Jason Beck in place. That's continued into today, those conversations from what I've been told and what I've heard. And, we'll continue to kind of follow that and monitor it. If you're Kyle Whittingham, you certainly want to have things kind of crystallized by, the conclusion of their bowl game and have stuff ready to go. And it seems like, they've got a pretty good sense of who those guys could be. But, Utah and BYU, they're making it tough on Kyle Whittingham from what I've heard. They're making it very difficult to just kind of call it official that Beck and Jay Hill are going to Ann Arbor. I think these programs are putting up a pretty significant fight, and I think that says a lot about the commitment to Utah football and to BYU football and the sudden resources that these programs have and the passion that these programs have for football. I think it says a lot that they're trying to go toe-to-toe, with one of the top 5 most recognizable programs in the country, in the world. When you're talking about that Michigan Wolverine helmet. And so I think it's fascinating what could actually transpire over the next couple of days. Because again, like I said, Whittingham probably wants to have a pretty good idea of what his staff is going to look like so they have something ready to go the day after and start attacking the transfer portal later this week.
Interesting.
Now, Steve, associated with coaching the carousel, the shuffle that we all are kind of monitoring here is obviously player personnel, and the portal opens up on Friday formally. Do you have an idea, or at least do you have like a short list of like positions you think Utah will be attacking, or is it just really too hard to determine that considering how much change there could be?
Yeah, I think a lot will be determined by, who actually ends up going in the portal. But, one position that I think, a couple positions that come to mind that were already priorities and only are going to become bigger probably is offensive line. That's going to be a big priority for Utah in the transfer portal. I know that they'd love to go into the tight end market and look to bring in, a Dallin Bentley type of big body guy. And then defensive end, Logan Fano announcing that, he's going to leave with a year of eligibility remaining. And then John Henry Daly obviously announcing his entry into the portal. You already kind of, with his injury, you already kind of marked him off of 2026, which kind of made it a thing. But, with that and Logan, and then those are probably the top 3 positions right now. But again, a lot hinges on what staff end up following Kyle Whittingham to Ann Arbor, because that can certainly change some things as well. But as of now, those are the top positions that they'll look into the portal to address. And then it all just kind of depends on what ends up being, who ends up staying on staff and who ends up following and what that could lead to in terms of other players that follow their coaches to Michigan.
It'll be interesting. The portal opens up on Friday, but before that, they've got this bowl game. And one last question for you, Steve, before we cut you loose. I wanted to get your thoughts on Morgan Scalley. We're going to see him in his first game as head coach on Wednesday. I'm curious what you think is going to be the difference in the program with Morgan as opposed to Kyle. Obviously, they do a lot of the similar. They've been tied at the hip for a long time, but now Morgan Scalley gets to put his stamp on this program and do things his way. What can that look like? What do you think? What differences could we see in this program in this transition?
Yeah, I think internally, where we as outsiders may not get a look at it and what it's going to lead to. But I think, the difference really for the program, going from Kyle Whittingham, who obviously is a legend and he's going to have the power and the resources to do what he needs to and operate how he wants to. And you get to his point in his career and you kind of become more of a CEO and you delegate and you allow others to take care of certain responsibilities and you're kind of almost hands off, and so for Morgan, I think what this will lead to is, with him and where he's at his age, 46 years, and just knowing the type of person that he is and how his work ethic and the personality that he has, I think you're going to see, a head coach that's more energetic, more involved in the day-to-day, the daily type of stuff. Probably going to lead to less delegation. Obviously, he's going to rely on others to do things, but I think his energy is going to be the thing that I think leads to the most obvious to us in terms of the differences that we see, with Scally, how he'll coach. Lander Barton talked about that he's going to look a little bit more energetic than Kyle Whittingham did patrolling the sidelines. There's going to be a little bit more energy. And so I think that's going to be the biggest difference that we see is just a more energetic coach, on the sideline. And it'll be interesting to hear his first, pregame speech and what that sounds like. Kyle always had certain things that he would always say. But with Morgan, I think there's just a lot of excitement about the energy that he's brought, the organization that he's going to, have and how he'll operate. But I think that's going to be kind of the most interesting dynamics that we follow with how the program changes and evolves under Scally.
He's Steve Bartle, Utah Utes insider for KSL Sports, KSLSports.com. It's going to be an interesting week up on the hill, both on the field and off the field. Buckle up. Steve Bartle's got you covered. You know where to find the latest on KSLSports.com. Steve, enjoy Vegas. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Steve Bartle. He's on it.
He is.
He's dialed in. After this game ends on Wednesday, and it's interesting, a lot of interesting stuff there. The push to keep Jason Beck at Utah is interesting. Now, most of you are like laughing. There's no way.
Sure.
How are they going to keep him from going to Michigan? I don't know. This is an interesting test for Utah football.
Correct.
Can they play with the big boys? And when I talk about playing with the big boys, I'm talking about money. We heard about this new deal.
Yeah.
This is the first test of this. How are you going to retain coaches where the big names come calling? Kyle Whittingham knows what he wants. He's got every resource and every dollar he needs at Michigan to come chase these guys that he has great relationships with. At least we assume that much.
Yeah.
Guys he trusts at the very least. He wants them to come to Ann Arbor. How do you say no to an opportunity to be a coordinator at Michigan or an assistant coach at Michigan?
Well, it seems like you're going to obviously have to pony up money, first off.
Clearly.
To keep guys in place. And I think you got to sell guys on the fact, keep building where you're at. Like, you've established yourself in the case of a Jay Hill and Provo. You've had 3 years of pretty darn good success on defense. And what Jason Beck has showed in just the one season he did at Utah. Well, I remember when he came over from Mexico, they ran the ball like they did at Utah, New Mexico. But the question was, okay, that's the G6 level. Can it come up to the P4 level? Well, yeah, not only did it do that, it was the second best rushing offense in the entire country.
Right.
So it showed that, it's replicable and it's successful. And I think the continuity factor, you're trying to sell them like, hey, you got a good thing going here. Let's keep it rolling.
Those coaching decisions could happen in the next 48 hours. Mm-hmm. The portal opens Friday. Buckle up, Utah fans. Buckle up, college football fans. Yeah. This next week is going to be bananas. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to lock in on the Utah Jazz. Celtics are in town tonight. Jazz are playing good basketball. It's Jazz Daily next on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What time is it?
Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Marketing trying to pop out. They can't get it to him. Filipowski finds Lowry. Checks the clock. 4. Driving the top to the basket. Victor comes over. Lowry double clutches and finishes over the alien. Jazz by 3. Keyonte on a pick and roll. Drives. Kicks to the corner. It's Bryce for 3. It's good. And Utah leads by 6 with 4:23 to play. Here's Clayton at the top. Guarded by Harper. Rookie on rookie. Swings it right side to Marketing. Catch and shoot 3. You bet. Lowry Marketing, the finisher from the high right. And the Jazz are up 9.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Utah Jazz back in action tonight, looking for a third straight win. Man, they're playing good basketball right now. They beat the Pistons at the buzzer, Keyonte George, and then the next night go on the road and beat the red-hot Spurs, ending their 8-game win streak. They beat Wembanyama and the Spurs in San Antonio. The Jazz look too good to keep that lottery pick. I'm sorry. What's going to change? What's going to happen? I don't know. But, Jake, this team's good.
Yeah. You do have a chance to watch them, though. Should we give those away right now?
Ooh. We have tickets?
We do.
To give away? Let's do it. Here we go. It is Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We gave some away earlier in the show, and we've got some left. Caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE wins a pair of tickets to see the Utah Jazz versus the Dallas Mavericks. That's right. Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks on Thursday, January 8th at the Delta Center at 7 p.m. As for tonight, the Jazz are hosting Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics. As we mentioned earlier, 2 of the top 10 scorers, 3 of the top 20 scorers in the NBA on the court tonight. We were worried about Keyonte George apparently going through some kind of illness, but the injury report is out for tonight, and Keyonte George is in. He is available. You will see Keyonte on the court tonight. Unfortunately, Ace Bailey will not play. That left hip flexor is going to keep him out. Hopefully that doesn't last too much longer because you want him to get out there and continue to develop. But he is out tonight. And Kevin Love is out with rest. Wouldn't we all love to be out with rest?
I'm out. Why are you out? I'm resting. Thank you.
Kevin Love's out with rest and a glass of warm milk.
So, JJ, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this. I've talked to DJ and PK about it, obviously. But Keyonte George, he's been an absolute revelation this season. He's borderline all-star caliber with the way he's competing and playing. Is it, in some ways, like there are Jazz fans out there, and trust me, I pay attention on social media because I'm terminally online, as I like to say, and they're like...
Sorry to hear that.
I know, but they're lamenting like, well, they're just too good to hold on to that draft pick, as you mentioned. And, well, they need to make moves. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, Keyonte's in his 3rd year. He's taken the leap. And it kind of shows, and it's something that Ben Anderson has pointed out, that a lot of guys, Dave Locke says this all the time, it takes guys 2 or 3 years, especially as young as they come into the NBA they come in at 18, 19 years old, and when they turn 20, 21, the kind of light bulb for those that are going to make it turns on. And that's what it appears that Keyonte George has done here. He's taken that leap. And in some ways, like, okay, yeah, you're at risk of losing this pick, but shouldn't we celebrate the fact that they have found what appears to be a building block along the way?
Isn't this what you're trying to do? Isn't this the whole dang point?
Sure.
I
think so.
Well, maybe fans are just like wondering, well, it needs to be a number 1 overall pick, right? Because only number 1 overall picks lead you to championships. Well, if you haven't been paying attention to the league, start looking through the champions of recent years.
Yeah.
How many number 1 overall picks have led their team that drafted them number 1 overall to an NBA championship? You got to go all the way back to, I think, Kyrie Irving with the Cavaliers, and he wasn't the number 1 player on that team.
I was going to say,
Now, LeBron was drafted by the Cavs, but it was the second time around.
Correct, yeah. He had left and won multiple titles and then came back.
So you start looking around the league, and you realize, wait a minute, you don't have to have the number 1 overall pick. You've got to get all-stars.
Correct.
You need stars.
Yeah.
Now, the odds are in your favor to get them with the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
the odds they decrease more and more as you go down farther in the draft, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wasn't even a top 10 pick. He was an 11th pick, right?
Yeah.
Where was Nikola Jokic taken? During a Taco Bell commercial in the second round. We all know that story.
By the way, the quesarito is back, and people have been making that joke because it's a quesarito ad that showed when he was picked in the NBA draft in that second round, famously.
Yeah, so there's just some examples.
Yeah.
Now, the Spurs get Wembanyama, generational talent. They're probably going to be back in the mix and already based on what they're doing this year. But and if Cooper Flagg looks legit as well.
And they've got Stephen Castle. And PK made a point this morning that we're hearing all this stuff about the Jazz kind of bearing the brunt of what they want to change the lottery rules and for tanking and all this stuff. But PK's point is, okay, so you're going to let the Spurs, I think it was the 1, 4, and 2 picks they've gotten in recent years.
Right.
So they get to cash in, and then, sorry, Utah.
Yeah.
But screw you guys.
Well, now that it's Utah's turn to win the lottery, you got to change the rules. Can't have that.
So that part's kind of the irksome part of this, I think, is you look at it and say, okay, they found a building block in Keyonte. Lauri Markkanen, we already talked about it, he's a top 10 scorer in the NBA right now, so they have 2 of the top 20 scorers. They look like they may be too good to hold on to that pick. But I also saw Zach Lowe, obviously, doing great things covering the NBA. I saw an interaction he's having with a Jazz fan earlier today, actually, as getting ready for the show, and he's talking about the fact that he believes that they could still maintain the core, speaking of Keyonte and Lowry, but make some moves with some of the other vets. And he talked about Svi Mikhailuk. He talked about the Kevin Loves, and essentially tell those guys, okay, you had your chance to play, but you're now bench guys, and we're going to play the young bucks. And that would, I guess, from his vantage point, lead the Jazz down a path where they are competing but still losing at a level that would keep that pick intact with Utah.
So what you'd have to do in order to do that, in my opinion, is find new homes for Yusuf Nurkic, who's been very good this year.
But he's your only true center right now.
Right. Which, if you're playing without a center, increases your chances of losing ball games.
And they also just saw because the guy I thought they might bring up to be the backup center was Mo Bamba.
Yeah.
Where's he off to?
He's been picked up by another team with the Raptors.
Toronto.
Is it Toronto?
1-year deal. So
he's not available.
Correct.
So, you have depth issues there that you would create. Svi Mikhailuk's another veteran. How many teams out there that kind of reminds me of Fontecchio, a situation like that where you have somebody who comes into that came in and developed and took advantage of their opportunity, and then you were able to ship them off at a trade deadline in order to create the situation you're looking for.
Yes.
Here's the problem: is you're running out of veterans to do that with this group.
Yeah.
They've done it the last 2 years. You remember the Mike Conley trades.
Yeah, they were too good, and they realized it. And
then they moved them. Same thing happened last year. They started moving some guys. Not that they were good last year, but they made moves during the deadlines to move veteran players. And then obviously during the offseason, they got rid of a lot of the veterans. There's only so many vets you have left to get rid of. Here's the problem. The Jazz young players are getting better.
Yes.
And it's not just Keyonte. Look, Lauri Markkanen's an all-star player. The Jazz know what they have with him. And I do believe they should hold on to him and make him the centerpiece of their build moving forward. But Keyonte George has taken a massive leap, playing near at an all-star level. But this is what you want. You got Keyonte George in the Rudy Gobert trade. You made that Rudy Gobert trade with the belief that was going to help you in your rebuild. And what did you find so far in that Rudy Gobert trade with some of those picks? The two that have hit the most is obviously Walker Kessler, which was taken in that same year. But Keyonte George was one of those Minnesota picks.
At the 16th
overall. Yeah. And right now, you landed a player at number 16 that's playing at a all-star level.
Yeah.
You just hit a home run, Jazz fans.
Yeah.
That's massive.
You should be celebrating the fact that Danny Ainge found a all-star caliber guy in the middle part of the first round.
They nailed it. Now you maybe the jury's still out, obviously, on Taylor Hendricks in that same draft, right? But it doesn't matter. If you had 2 chances and you hit on one of them, bullseye, you win.
Yeah. And I can remember the belly. I can remember that's the Cam Whitmore year. Remember, so many Jazz fans were so irate that they passed on Whitmore. Well, Whitmore has been essentially nothing.
Yeah, I don't think he's even injured right now. I don't even think he's playing in the league right now.
And they pointed out, I think a guy named Kobe Buffkin was the pick directly in front of Keyonte George. He's in the G League right now.
Yeah.
So the fact that you yanked a all-star caliber guard out of the middle part of the first round in a draft that a lot of people panned, and it does lead you to concerns that as stacked as this current crop of NBA draft talent appears in this upcoming NBA draft, I think there's a line to be walked here, JJ, that you can celebrate the fact that they but they've seen a guy like Keyonte George emerge as a building block player. But at the same time, I think there's still a path to where you can still retain that pick and potentially add another piece in this, what appears to be one of those bumper crop type drafts.
I still think there's a possibility the Jazz make a couple moves or something happens where they're able to. I feel like they're going to try to find a way to get in that draft. There's too many good players in this draft to not miss out on it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, at the end, whether you're just miss the playoffs or you tank at the end, you're not guaranteed anything by having the worst record, as we learned that tough lesson last year. The Dallas Mavericks winning the whole dang lottery. And, of course, who else moved up? Was it the Rockets? Who moved up? The Spurs moved up.
Spurs moved up, yes.
The Spurs.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be the worst team in the league. We've seen how this works. Just let it play out however it's going to play out. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned that draft, just to give you an idea. You never know what you're going to hit. You never know what you're going to hit. Do you know how many? So the top three scorers out of that 2023 draft so far.
Okay.
You're talking about value. Yeah. Victor Wembanyama is number one.
Okay.
Right.
Well, okay. Generational talent. Got
it.
But
only about 268 points behind is Keyonte George. Keyonte George is the second leading scorer of the 2023 NBA draft so far. Wow. Better than Brandon Miller, Amen Thompson, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Brandon Pajemski. Those are your top six scorers in that draft. Scoot Henderson is 8th. Anthony Black is 9th. Asar Thompson, 11th. Bryce Sensabaugh is 14th. He's ahead of Cam Whitmore. You can argue Bryce Sensabaugh was a better pick, a better value than Cam Whitmore. So to your point, let these things play out. The Jazz nailed the 2023 draft.
Yeah.
I just mentioned Sensabaugh in there as well, who's going to be definitely your sixth man coming out of that draft. So the Jazz are starting to hit on these picks. Mm-hmm. If it costs you that lottery pick, I guess that's just the price you have to pay. But that's the whole dang point. You're trying to get better. You're trying to find all-star caliber players. And the Jazz have found one with Keyonte George. Jazz Celtics tonight right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get you ready for that game. Leading you up to the tip-off, the pregame show. It's all coming up next on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen. Jake Hatch sitting in for Alex Kirry today. Jake, thanks for staying up with us.
Thanks for having me.
And pinch hitting today. It's been fun. Having a great show. We've had some great topics. Talked about Utah football, BYU football.
There's a lot going on, man.
Oh, it's a great time of year. We're almost, unfortunately, sadly, almost about to lose football. We're gonna hold on to that as long as we can. The NFL's just gonna get really good here, so that's awesome. College football is almost behind us, but we're going to cling on to that as well. And we're clinging on to the Jazz right now because this team is fun to watch. They're playing the Celtics tonight. That's coming up next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott and the coach will be standing by with the pregame show before tip-off at 7 o'clock between these two teams, the Jazz and the Celtics. Jaylen Brown has been interesting because I think a lot of people looked around the league and they thought, well, the Celtics are going to do what the Pacers did this year. Is you lose your star player, you're going to drop off. Jaylen Brown is proving that he's a superstar in this league, a top 5 scorer in this league, and that he can handle that kind of weight.
Well, and that's the thing. I've always thought Jaylen Brown was capable of doing what he's doing. He just happened to be playing alongside Jason Tatum, who's an all-world talent in his own right. And that's what's powered the Celtics to where they've been for the last little while, is that they have two pillars to build around. And I think they're kind of the archetype of what a lot of NBA teams want to have. They want to have two established long wing players you can run everything through. Not just one guy, essentially, the teams can key on. You have both of them. They can play off one another. Now, other teams have built other ways. We all know the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. It's a big man guard combo. But there are different ways to build teams, and that's credit to Boston because you're right. They easily could have done what Indiana's doing and crumbled.
Although Indiana might be grateful for that off year because they might land A.J. Johnson, and then we're having a completely different conversation. And people in Boston are like, "Why did you tank for A.J.?"
You also have
who's a Massachusetts guy.
You also have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are looking at potentially not only 1 but 2 lottery picks.
Pretty crazy,
based on trades they have made in the past.
I tell you, they got some kind of cheat code over there. They've done a tremendous job.
Sam
You got to give them credit.
man.
Sam Presti, I guess.
Yeah,
it's worked out pretty well for him. Not that it's been perfect there, but my goodness. It's tough to see anybody else in the NBA winning a title anytime soon with the juggernaut they built. Of course, Wembanyama and the Spurs are definitely on the acceleration there. All right, this is brought to you by Jug Smith Dealerships, Dodge, Ram, Chevrolet, Subaru, Kia, and Linden, and now Mitsubishi in American Fork. Jazz and Celtics next right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. The pregame show starts in 10 seconds. Jay Catch, Tim Lacombe standing by over at the Delta Center to get you ready for tip-off between the Jazz and Celtics coming up at 7 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year, everybody.